Welcome back to another UCL Fantasy deadline stream for match day 12. A very quick turnaround in the Champions League, and we're very close to the end of this competition and of another season. Thank you to those that have tuned in as always, and be sure to smash the like button if you enjoy it or find it useful. I'm going to go for a lot of questions in today's stream as always, and yeah, any questions, comments, stuff to talk about in the Champions League. The Borussia Dortmund versus Paris Saint-Germain lineup will also be covered, and I've got some news to go through. But before I do all of that, I'm going to go straight into the questions and comments posed from the very beginning, and it will be a very difficult stream to catch up with, as it usually is in UCL Fantasy, but I'll try my very best. Dawn says, which transfers should I do out of these four, or do I do all four of them? Oblak to Kobel, Saliba to Hummels, Kubarsi to Marquinhos, and Kim Min-jae to Carvajal. They're all good transfers, but I'd stick to three. I don't think it's worth a -4 hit to make all four of them. I probably would go for Hummels, Marquinhos, and I'd probably go for Carvajal, assuming that you already have another goalkeeper, which I'm guessing is the case. So I would probably skip the Oblak to Kobel transfer there, Dawn. Evening to you as well, Courage. Always a pleasure. Thinking of going Rodrigo captain as a major differential. He's actually my tip at the moment to win the Player of the Match award in the second leg, so I honestly think he could be a great option. I highlight him in the Best Limitless Team video and podcast. So yeah, I do like Rodrigo as a captaincy option, that's for sure. And I'd actually rate him above Harry Kane because I think Madrid will go through to the final, and I think Bayern Munich will struggle in this away game. Please recommend any free midfielders and 2 defenders. Well, I'd always encourage you to check out my best wildcard and limitless team videos and podcasts. Right now, I think for midfield, I'd say Bellingham. Probably Valverde, looking at matchday 13 as well. And I would go for a PSG midfielder, either Zaire Emery or Vitinha. As for 2 defenders, probably Hummels, because you can get so many ball recovery points. He's the highest scoring UCL Fantasy defender this season. And I'd go for Hakimi. Sodendra says, hey Dylan, since Ancelotti said that Lunin will play tomorrow, should I buy Marquinhos, Carvajal and have Kobel as my second goalkeeper, or buy Marquinhos, Hummels, Carvajal and play with 1 goalkeeper? Right, okay, so the difference is Kobel or... Oh, right, so Hummels or Kobel, basically. I'd rather go for the Hummels option and stick with 1 goalkeeper. Would you have a bind or double up Lunin with a Madrid defender? I'd go for a Madrid defender, probably Rudiger or Carvajal. I think there isn't really a standout defender option for Madrid. Best defender options, I have Kim Min-jae, Hakimi and Hummels. Marquinhos, I think, for this match day would stand out to me. Best midfielder option, yeah, as I just mentioned a few seconds ago. So you've already got most of the key options. Maybe you go for a second PSG midfielder. So Zaire Emery could be one. Eduardo Ferreira says, hi Dylan, 1 mid for this match day. I have Musiala, Bellingham, Valverde, Zaire Emery. Keep up the great work. Love from Portugal. Thank you very much. You're very well stacked in the midfield. I don't think you necessarily need one. I'd probably go for Vitinha in this case. Kimmich or Sabitzer, transfer out for Valverde. Have free transfer. Want to improve the midfield. I think both of them will score quite low this week, but I could be proven really wrong. Sabitzer had so many big chances against PSG in the first leg, he really could have walked away with a double-digit haul. I'd rather sell Kimmich, I think, out of those two. Who is a buy priority? Well, apart from the usual Bellinghams and the template picks of this world, I think Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo would be my top 2 picks this week. Should I go for 2 Madrid defenders? I think Bayern Munich will score, but yeah, I think it's a good option for matchday 13 as well. Madrid have a great chance of reaching the final and winning it. Mark SSSS says, I have Mbappe, Kane, Vinicius, Musiala, Sane, Sabitzer, Vitinha, Bellingham. Sell anyone? Not necessarily. They're all good options in isolation. You could consider Kane to Rodrigo this match day, but that's not necessary, so to speak. I'd probably consider offloading one of the Bayern Munich midfielders and going to a Zaire Emery, for example, but you don't need to sell any of them. Should I use the Limitless? I've said it for a few weeks now. I think the Limitless isn't that powerful because most people who have played the game since the beginning can easily build a 50-man squad and have a lot of money left over. But I think I'd use it now. And for matchday 13, for the Champions League final, you only need a starting 11 and substitutions won't be a factor for you. You can't manually change them yourself. So I think the Limitless is slightly more powerful now than it would be in Matchday 13. And you also have 5 free transfers to prepare for the final. So it's very easy to build an 11 for that. Hello, Akram as well. I agree. That is also true. But I personally recommend for most people to use the Limitless now if they still have it. While the chance of De Ligt playing, he has been in training. I personally think it'll be him and Eric Dyer as the centre-backs. Tuchel has a preference for those two. Upamecano and Kim Min-jae will most likely be on the bench. I would go for Marquinhos. Yeah, I think PSG have the best chance of a clean sheet, and we might as well do a segue there and go for some different screens. So first off, let's start off with the most likely Champions League Fantasy Matchday 12 goal scorers, assuming that they all start. So Mbappe is top with 62%, Vinicius in second, Gonzalo Ramos is third, remember, assuming that they start. Kane, Bellingham, Rodrigo, Colomwani, Dembele, Füllkrug, Sancho, Sane and Musiala all complete the top 10. But as you can see, PSG forwards are really backed in this fixture. If we then look at the teams most likely to keep a clean sheet, building upon that previous comment, and let's see if it's not highlighted just yet. PSG, 37% chance, so that's actually quite high, considering we've seen a lot of 20% since the quarterfinals. Madrid are second, just under 30% there. Bayern Munich and Dortmund in third and fourth. Borussia Dortmund with 11%, but I still think Hummel, Schlotterbeck and Maatsen are all great UCL Fantasy options because of ball recoveries, and in the case of Maatsen, some attacking potential. Now let's look at some news. So every Madrid player is present in training except Alaba, which I covered in my videos and podcasts. And as Sudindra said earlier, and I've covered it all week, Lunin will start against Bayern Munich, despite Courtois starting over the weekend against Cadiz. It will be Lunin again, so there's no concerns there whatsoever. In Matchday 13, should Real Madrid reach the final? Yes, there probably will be a concern, but for now, Lunin lives to fight another day, and he's a great UCL Fantasy option for his price. For PSG, we could see Kang In-lee, starting in the midfield alongside Vitinha and Zaire Emery, so that would be a bit different there for Paris Saint-Germain. And if we look at the Dortmund squad, a few updates since my recent videos and podcasts, Sebastian Haller and Adeyemi are in it, so they are both in the clear, and Borussia Dortmund only have 2 injury concerns right now. I'll list all of them very soon. And let's look at a Bayern Munich versus Real Madrid predicted lineup. So for Madrid, we have Lunin, Carvajal, Rudiger, Nacho, Ferland Mendy, Tchouaméni, Kroos, Valverde, Rodrigo, Bellingham and Vinicius Jr. And for Bayern, we have Neuer, Mazzari, Dyer, De Ligt, Kimmich, Lima, Goretzka, Müller, Sane, Musiala and Harry Kane up top. But a lot of Bayern Munich fans do question Müller starting, and they think Gnabry could actually start instead. And for Real Madrid, I think a lot of their fans don't anticipate for Nacho to start. We'll wait and see we'll see the lineups tomorrow, but unfortunately before the deadline, all we're going to get is the Paris Saint-Germain versus Dortmund lineups, which I'll cover very soon. And I put a poll out earlier on my YouTube channel, pick one of these goalkeepers for UCL Fantasy, Kobel or Donnarumma. And at the moment, Donnarumma is winning this vote, but I'm fairly sure there's many more votes that have happened since this, so I might refresh in a little while. We might as well refresh now and see what you lot are saying. Might take some time. Yep, still quite similar. Donnarumma with 57% and over 100 votes. So be sure to go to my YouTube channel and vote for all the polls you see for FPL and UCL Fantasy. It's a great way to see how the community is thinking, and we'll go to the PSG Dortmund lineups very soon. But before we do all that, let's go back to my team. And I haven't made any transfers yet, but it's very likely that I'll buy one of Kobel or Donnarumma for Oblak. I'll also offload Ruben Dias to Marquinhos. And my third transfer is likely to be either Valverde in for Julian Brandt if the German is benched, or I will sell Kim Min-jae, who is very unlikely to start tomorrow, and go to a Carvajal or Rudiger. I'll put a poll out very soon in this live chat, so be sure to vote in that as well. Is selling Kane for Rodrigo priority? Definitely not. It's not a priority. It's something to consider if you want to go differential, and I personally would back Rodrigo over Kane, but I wouldn't necessarily sell one for the other. I don't think it's a priority. Mark says Kane, Rodrigo, Dembele, Füllkrug. I need one. I'd go for Rodrigo. Will you be will you be doing Euro 2024 fantasy coverage? I did it last time for Euro 2020, and if it's possible, I have the time to do it, I almost certainly will, but I'll keep you updated in due course about that. At the moment, it's likely that I will do it, but I can't guarantee it, so at the moment, I haven't confirmed it officially. Greetings, Dylan, and all the best to you in the stream. Thank you very much, Trini, as always. Dryhill says, for FPL, Burn or Cucurella for Maguire. Already have Petrovic and one transfer left. I'd personally favour Burn and go for Jackson up front, but if you're not going for Jackson and, yeah, you're just going to stick with Petrovic and Palmer, in that case, I'd probably go for Cucurella. Hi, Dylan, what do you think of getting Dembele instead of Kane? It's a good shout. He's facing another former club in the Champions League knockout stages, and he could really deliver in this match, but I think I'd still favour Kane. The way I'd rank it is Vinicius first, probably Mbappe second, Rodrigo third, and Kane fourth. What transfers are you thinking of? Yeah, I just covered that, so let me know if you got it. Would you transfer out Kane for Rodrigo? No, I don't think I'd sell him. Now, if I was building a team fresh, a limitless wildcard, or I was starting off right now, I'd go for Rodrigo, yeah, but it has to be really special circumstances. Your team must be really well stacked to be able to keep or to be able to offload Kane and go to a Rodrigo. Who's a good replacement for Lima? Vitinha or Zaire Emery for me. I have Rodrigo. Should I change him to Vinicius? I probably wouldn't. I'd recommend buying Vinicius for a Harry Kane or somebody else you have, but I wouldn't sell Rodrigo. Do you think it's good to have at least one Dortmund mid? Yeah, my favourite right now is Sancho. I think Sabitzer would be second, and with Julian Brandt, I like him in home games, but he's only started, well, he hasn't started a single Champions League match away from home this season, and that's why he is on the chopping block for me. If he's benched tonight, and we'll find out in half an hour's time, I will be selling him. Raiden Jr. says, I have Kobel, Lunin as the goalkeepers, and Hummels, Marquinhos, Hakimi, Rudiger, Kim Min-jae. Who to sell and who to buy? I think you're fine with the goalkeepers. I'd keep them. I'd personally look to sell Kim Min-jae. I don't think he starts tomorrow, and I would probably go to either another PSG defender or possibly a Real Madrid one. I think that's what I do. Now, in isolation, I think Schlotterbeck, possibly Ryerson, and Maatsen are all better than any other PSG defender like Nuno Mendes, but I also think PSG are likely to go through to the final, and they've got the best chance of keeping a clean sheet in this match day. So yeah, sell Kim Min-jae, and then it's up to you who you go for depending on your predictions and who you back. I think PSG have the best chance of a clean sheet in this match day, and Madrid will likely win the competition. Welcome, Angel. Good to see you. Best buy and defender. I think Eric Dyer starts, and I think he's probably the best in terms of value. So yeah, I'd probably say Eric Dyer, actually. Would you do Fulkrug for Kane? Honestly, I'm not favouring any of them this match day, but Harry Kane is my preference, that's for sure. As I keep on mentioning, Rodrigo, Vinicius, Mbappe for me is the best front three in matchday 12. Frankel says, hi Dylan, thanks for the stream. Thank you very much. Like a football fan, who do you want to win the cup? I'd say Borussia Dortmund. I know they've won it in the past, but it would be something new. Look, Real Madrid are a great club with history, but it's a bit boring in my opinion. Obviously, everyone feels differently if they were to win it for a 15th time. So I'd rather someone else win it. Dylan, should I keep my captaincy on Vinicius Jr.? Well, put it on Mbappe because he plays tonight. If he doesn't do that well, you can always switch it to Vinicius. There's no need to just captain Vinicius and limit yourself there. Thank you for the super chat, Julio Peña. It's always a pleasure. I have 2 goalkeepers, 2 defenders, and 1 midfielder out. What positions should I prioritize with my free transfers, and who are the best options? It's a great question, Julio, as always. Yeah, you've got 2 goalkeepers out, so I would buy 1 goalkeeper, but not 2. So I'd buy a goalkeeper, probably, I'd go for Donnarumma. Best chance of a clean sheet in this match day. 2 defenders, I think I'd buy a PSG defender as well, so a Marquinhos or Hakimi. And I'd probably go for a midfielder if possible, but it all depends, because if you've got Bellingham already and your 4 midfielders are looking really strong, you might want to do a defender transfer instead. But my gut feeling, without knowing the context of your team, Julio, is to buy a goalkeeper, probably Donnarumma, to buy either Hakimi or Marquinhos in the defensive line, and to buy a midfielder. And I'd say Bellingham is obviously a must-have. I'd also look at a PSG one like Vitinha or Zaire Emery. And apart from that, If you were to go for a Bayern Munich one, probably Leroy Sané or Gnabry, but without knowing the context of your team, it's quite difficult to answer the midfielder question there. Who's the best defender from Madrid? I don't think there's a standout, but it's between Rudiger and Carvajal for me. If I were to make a transfer now and buy a Madrid defender, I think I'm more likely to go for Rudiger, but not a big fan of either. Yeah, Kim Min-jae to Carvajal is absolutely fine there, Tarek. Ian puts his team, benches Emery and Neuer, Mbappe captain. Yeah, solid squad. You've got a few new names in there, like Tchouaméni, who could get ball recovery points. Yeah, so solid squad, not much really more to add to that. If you've got any free transfers, of course, you could even bolster it further, but I'm guessing you've made them already. Sell Sabitzer for Valverde. I personally won't be doing that. If I were to sell a midfielder, it will be Julian Brandt, because he's likely to be benched. We'll see very soon. But yeah, of course, if Sabitzer was benched, then you're right. It'd be a very simple transfer for me to make. Thank you, Georgie. Much appreciated as always. Two Dortmund defenders or two PSG defenders? I'd go for PSG. I think they've got a better chance of a clean sheet. I know the Dortmund defenders have been great assets all season, especially Hummels, but I'd favour PSG in this match. I don't have enough for Jackson. I have Bodder on white, so it's difficult to get him. Have Mateta instead. Yeah, in that case, I go for Cucurella, and we can talk about this in the FPL deadline stream on Saturday. Yeah, best Bayern defender, as I mentioned earlier, would be Eric Dyer. I don't really think there's much more to it. Yeah, there's a Euro 2024 fantasy section on UEFA Gaming. Yeah, I think the game must have been released recently. I'll be going through it very soon, I think, and you know, playing around with it a little bit. And if possible, I'll make content on that as well. Is Julian Brandt a hold or a sell? We'll find out with the lineups. If he starts, then I'd keep him, but I think he will be benched and he will become a sell. That's my gut feeling right now. Gonzalo Ramos over Kane? Not for me, personally. If he starts, it could be a shout, but I wouldn't go for Gonzalo Ramos over Kane. Should I make a goalkeeper transfer or defender? I have Kim Min-jae and Hernandez, so 3 out of 5 will probably play. I'd make a defender transfer, assuming you have a goalkeeper already, because if you don't, you'll be down to 10 men, and in that case, you obviously go for the goalkeeper. Hi Dylan, would you go for Sancho or Valverde? Thank you, cheers. I'd personally favour Valverde in this match day. He's at home. I also think Madrid will win the competition and reach the Champions League final as a result, so yeah, I'd go for Valverde if I had to pick one. Rodrigo or Dembele? I'd go for Rodrigo there. Ezra says, I have no goalkeeper. Kim Min-jae, Guerrero, Kubarsi, Brandt. What should I do? Well, we'll see what the lineup is first, because if Brandt starts, then you obviously don't sell him. Kim Min-jae will probably not start tomorrow, but Guerrero is officially out. He's the one you have to sell no matter what. And obviously Kubarsi is eliminated, but he's also quite cheap. At the moment, I'd probably recommend getting a goalkeeper. I think Donnarumma is the best option this match day. I'd also look to offload Guerrero and Kubarsi whilst keeping Brandt and Kim Min-jae, but just don't expect Kim Min-jae to start tomorrow. Raiden puts a midfield. Was thinking to sell Brandt. Who to buy instead of him? Any other mids to sell, which I have. Once again, with these Brandt questions, wait for the lineup before, you know, deciding whether to sell him or not. You know, it will be very self-explanatory by the time we get to it. The thing is, you've already got a good midfield. I'd maybe consider going to Valverde, I think, and that's what I'm planning to do myself. Transfer Marquinhos in for Dyer and have 2 PSG defenders along with Hakimi, and transfer in Hummels for Maatsen. I definitely do the Marquinhos transfer. I think that's a good one. And Hummels is a great UCL Fantasy option. He'll probably get 4 or 5 points minimum in this match day. But is it worth buying in for Maatsen? I'm not so sure. Definitely not for a hit. If it's for free, then fair enough. Keeping Füllkrug or switching for Vinicius? I'd switch to Vinicius. Are there defensive options for Bayern Munich? There are. Are they particularly good? Not necessarily, actually. So let's see if I can... No, I can't do that. Okay. Yeah, I'll go for the Bayern Munich predicted lineup again. But I'm fairly sure it had Dyer and De Ligt as the centre-backs, Mazzari was the left-back, and Kimmich right-back. So Davis isn't expected to start, and I think I got a question about that earlier. So yeah, Bayern Munich defenders, I'd say Eric Dyer. Is Sancho a good pick? I think so. He's the best Dortmund midfielder on current form. He produced a massive haul a couple of match days ago in his first Champions League match back at Borussia Dortmund, And of course, he was incredible against PSG in the first leg, completing 12 dribbles and very unfortunate not to win the Player of the Match award. I've got 2 Dortmund defenders and 1 PSG defender. I'd personally go for Donnarumma. You have a bit more balance and you've kind of covered all bases for the Champions League final. And I personally back PSG to reach the final, and I think Dortmund will be eliminated. You also look at the team's chances of keeping a clean sheet in matchday 12, and I think PSG are probably first. Mark puts his squad as well, have 1 free transfer. Yeah, your squad is in good shape. There's not really much to do. Yeah, Carvalho to Carvajal, Stones to Marquinhos. Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Madrid defenders aren't particularly great, so yeah, Carvajal, Rudiger, take your pick. So your third transfer. I mean, you could consider Kane to Rodrigo, but it could, well, it's still very risky. You know, no matter how you put it, I think Rodrigo is a great option this week, but selling Kane is always going to be a risky business. Anything else you could do? Maybe sell Sabitzer and go to a Valverde, maybe, or even a Musiala out. But yeah, I think your team is very well set up. And remember, for those that are going to ask, I'm sure you're going to get the question later, you can't roll transfers in the knockout stages of UCL Fantasy. Thank you, DA8354. Massively appreciated. Tarek says Kimmich to Sane or Musiala to Sane. I'd rather sell Kimmich to Sane, but Musiala has no goals or assists in the Champions League since matchday 3. He won a penalty in matchday 11, but no official goal contributions in a very long time now. Do Rodrigo to Vinicius for third transfer or bring in second goalkeeper for Oblak. As much as I like Vinicius, I think he's the best forward in the game right now. I really back Rodrigo as a differential this match day, so I'd go for the second goalkeeper there. Millennium puts his squad. I have 2 free transfers left. Who should I change? Yeah, I don't think Vasquez starts. It'll be Carvajal, so I'd sell Vasquez. I also look at your other players, and it's a good squad. But I think... Wait, so you've got Kane, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, Vasquez, Valverde, Emre Can, Fabian Ruiz, Vitinha, Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes, Rice, and Hakimi. You've got 13 players. I'm just wondering who your goalkeeper is. You haven't mentioned a goalkeeper, so if you don't have a goalkeeper, you have to buy one. That's for sure. Otherwise, you're down to 10 men. So buy a goalkeeper, and I'd also sell Vasquez, who is very unlikely to start. I think it'll be Carvajal. Who to captain tonight other than Mbappe? I think a Dembele could be a great shout from Paris Saint-Germain. I'd also consider a Borussia Dortmund attacker like Sancho, but yeah, apart from that, I mean, you could make a case for defenders with the ball recoveries like Hummels, but yeah, I think Dembele would be my top differential pick. Lunin or Kobel? I would go for Lunin in this match day. I think both teams concede though. Is a goalkeeper transfer worth it in order to have 2 playing goalkeepers? Assuming it's for free, then yes. But will it have a high ceiling in terms of, will there be more upside to a goalkeeper move compared to the attack? Obviously not. But if you're really well set up in the rest of your team, you're happy with it, and really the only problem you have is lacking a second goalkeeper, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, Vitinha's a decent punt. He is more of a defensive-minded player, but he has stepped up in recent weeks for Paris Saint-Germain in all competitions, particularly in the Champions League. Ezra puts his squad again to Sancho or Brandt, or Sancho if he doesn't start. I wouldn't sell Zaire Emery to Sancho or Brandt. I'd keep Zaire Emery actually, and with Brandt, I don't even think... well, you're saying Brandt to Sancho. Yeah, I think that's probably the best move to make. But I still prefer other midfielders like Valverde, looking ahead to matchday 13 as well, and my predictions for the competition. My current rank is 1,600. Is there a possibility to enter the best 1,000? Of course there is. There are very fine margins between your rank and top 1k. It's always very tight. Yeah, I think you can definitely do it. Now, at this stage of the competition, of course, it's more difficult to gain rank because most people will go for a similar team. We've only got 4 squads left, and soon there'll only be 2 remaining. But yeah, you can do it. So we have 3 transfers. If we only use 1, yeah, as I just mentioned a few minutes ago, you can't roll transfers over. So the transfer disappears. If you use 2 and you roll the other, it disappears. And either way, you get 5 free transfers for matchday 13, irrespective of what you do now. Playing in a different format, 1 captain each matchday, and 13 points clear my mini league. Would you go for Vinicius and block second place, who would go for him, or Mbappe? I'd personally favour Madrid attackers over Mbappe this match day anyway, so I'd probably go for Vinicius. I think both have their plus points, and it's very difficult to call. Mbappe did score against Dortmund, I believe, in the home game this season, so he can definitely do it again. It's a very tricky one, though. Lunin or Kobel? Lunin. Georgie says, I have Kobel and Maatsen. Should I buy Hummels instead of Dyer or Kubarsi? Well, Dyer will play tomorrow. It's very likely that he will. So you sell Kubarsi and go to Hummels. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Welcome, Glenn. Good to see you. Valverde or Bellingham out? Bellingham has been blanking for weeks now. I still think he can deliver, either in this match day or for the Champions League final, should they reach that stage. I'd keep both of them, to be honest. If I had to sell one, it'd be Valverde. I still think Bellingham is the best Madrid midfielder, but I do agree with you. He's been very poor in the knockout stages. Vitinha captain, I mean, it's something different. I don't think it's a bad call. I'm personally not going there, but I wish you the best of luck. Best 5 transfers to make this week? Well, you only have 3 transfers for free. But to name 5, I mean, I'd say Rodrigo is my top pick. I've been talking about him all week, so Rodrigo is probably the number 1. Vinicius, if you don't have him already, even if you've got Rodrigo or Bellingham and you've got like a double up going on, I don't mind tripling up on Madrid offensively. I really don't. So I'd say Rodrigo, Vinicius, Sancho from Borussia Dortmund. From Paris Saint-Germain, I'd also recommend Marquinhos or Hakimi, maybe even both. And a goalkeeper like Donnarumma. That's my top 5. Dilame, what do you think? Musiala, Kubarsi, Ake out, Sancho, Hakimi, Carvajal in. Yeah, no problems with that whatsoever. I think that's good. Do you see a PSG clean sheet this match day? I'm kind of torn between 2-0 PSG and 2-1. And look, I hope Borussia Dortmund go through. I'm not a fan of them, but, you know, if I had to pick one team to win the competition, it would be them. They have the best chance of any team, and that's why I'll probably load up on PSG defenders and Donnarumma in goal. Is it worth going -4 for getting 1 Bayern defender out? I have 2, and going for Marquinhos? Not so sure about that. Marquinhos is very good for ball recoveries, but he's not on a Hummels level where he's guaranteed to get 4 or 5 points from ball recoveries alone, and Marquinhos could be eliminated by the time you get to matchday 13, so I don't think it's worth a hit. Irish BBB says, I hope you're rooting for us tonight. Yes, I am. Gonna buy Lunin, Hummels and Sane tonight, I think. Yeah, looks good. Lunin is going to be an issue in matchday 13. You know, if Madrid are knocked out or if they reach the final, I think Courtois comes back in. But Lunin has been incredible for Real Madrid, and maybe he even starts the Champions League final should they reach it. Hummels and Sane looks good to me, especially Hummels, who has been sensational in this season's Champions League. All the best to you, Irish BVB. Hopefully you do go through. Kolu says, Rodrigo and Vinicius. Yep, it's definitely worth it. 100%. Triple captain. You can't triple captain in this game unless you're playing another fantasy format. If I had to pick between those two, it's probably Vinicius. I said that earlier in another response, but I'll probably change my mind as we progress through the stream. I think it's 50-50. Best Guerrero and Kimmich replacements. I'd say Marquinhos or Hakimi. And for midfield, Valverde, assuming you have Bellingham, a Bayern Munich midfielder, and the other options I've discussed extensively throughout the last couple of streams and videos. Is Davis a worthy player as a differential? I don't think he starts, and I showed a lineup earlier which had Mazzari as the left back, Dyer and De Ligt as the centre backs, and Kimmich on the right hand side. Sell Brandt for who? I'd say Valverde. But if you don't have a Zaire Emery or Vitinha, maybe they're the best ones to go for matchday 12. What do you think about Georgia? I don't know much about Georgia as a country, but you know, I'm always kind of open-minded, and yeah, I don't know too much about it. I'd actually want to hear your thoughts about it, and the same goes for other countries that I don't know much about. I hope I don't sound rude, by the way. I'm genuinely just being serious there. Thoughts on Nuno Mendes? I think he's the 3rd best PSG defender. Marquinhos is the best for ball recoveries. Hakimi for the attacking potential. But Nuno Mendes is a good shout. I like that as a differential. Gonz C says, I have a problem. I have 2 free transfers, which I'm going to use in defense, but I have Guerrero, Vasquez, and an eliminated player. I already have 5 Madrid players, so I don't know who to replace. Yeah, but I'm... Oh, okay, 2 free transfers for defenders. Either way, I don't think Madrid defenders are particularly great. So I'd go for Marquinhos, Hakimi, and Hummels. I think those 3 are the best defenders to buy. JibX34 says, I'm thinking Kane, Kimmich, Kim out for Rodrigo, Sane, Carvajal. I like those transfers. They're all very solid. Selling Kane is the only one I can see backfiring, but Rodrigo is my top differential pick up front for this match day. And the rest of your squad looks really good. So, yeah, wait for the lineups, and then after that you could confirm them, but maybe reconsider selling Kane because we all know his quality. 123 says Rudiger and Marquinhos, Carvajal, and Beraldo. I would go for Rudiger and Marquinhos. Beraldo isn't guaranteed to start, even though Lucas Hernandez is injured. Who is the best Real Madrid midfielder outside of Jude? I'd say Valverde. Vitinha or Zaire Emery? I'd say Vitinha based on current form. If Mbappe doesn't perform after captaining him, who do you think is the best captaincy option for Madrid Bayern? Rodrigo for me, with Vinicius in second and Bellingham in third. But it's very close, I think, between Vinicius and Rodrigo. Thank you, Irish BVB. Thanks, mate. All your advice appreciated. It'll be a big ask tonight, but hopefully get it done. Yeah, your record against PSG is very tight. You know, there's not much in it. The home teams typically prevail, but hopefully we get a cracking game. What about Lucas Vazquez? I don't think he starts. Carvajal is back from suspension. Yeah, I think Vazquez will come off the bench for a one-pointer. That's the most likely scenario. Mbappe going to play left wing tonight with Gonzalo at strike. PSG lineup is out. Thank you. We'll go through that now, basically. If Dortmund's lineup is also out, then that will be good. So, yeah, and after that, I'll show you my transfer plans on screen, but I have discussed them already. So, let's go to the lineups. No, they're still not out yet. I got carried away, as usual. But, yeah, let's see if I can get the PSG one up on screen. Let's see if they've got it. We will get them very soon anyway. Yeah, I can't see the PSG lineup yet, but I'm assuming you got it from a reliable source. So yeah, once it's out on UEFA.com, I will be going for everything you need to know for both teams. But let's go to my transfer plans. I do apologize if there is a bit of freezing. I think it's a laptop issue. It's not even the internet, so I'm gonna have to double check that and see exactly why, since everything is running well on my end. So let's see. So to discuss this, my current plan is to buy Donnarumma and Marquinhos for the eliminated Oblak and Ruben Dias. And my final transfer will be either Brandt to Valverde or Kim Min-jae to a Real Madrid defender. That's the most likely scenario. And if we look ahead to matchday 13, so my prediction is for Madrid and PSG to reach the final. If that's the case, and I go for, well, it doesn't really matter, Valverde or a Madrid defender, I would have 4 Madrid players. And I'd also have plenty of PSG players as well. I'd have 5. So I'd have 9 players with 5 free transfers. It's very easy for me to build an 11. Let's assume that Borussia Dortmund go through to the final. I've got 4 of their players at the moment. Maybe it goes down to 3, but I'm pretty well set up anyway. And if Bayern Munich go to the final, I've got 3 of their players in place at the moment, but it could go down to 2 if I sell Kim Min-jae, but it'll be very easy for me to build an 11 for matchday 13, which is all you need for the Champions League final. So yeah, I think really what we can do in a lot of cases is focus directly on the semi-finals, the second leg, and not worry too much about who's eliminated unless you're not in this sort of situation and you have a lot of fires to put out even at this point. So let's go back to your questions. Let's see if I can catch up to the chat. Thoughts on Marquinhos as a defender captain? If I were to captain a defender, it'd be either him, Nuno Mendes, or Hakimi. I think that's a good shout. And of course, Hummels for Borussia Dortmund is always a captaincy choice. Sebastian says, sorry for being late. Don't be sorry, mate. Thank you for tuning in. Can you show the predicted lineups? I did show the Bayern Munich Real Madrid one, but I'll be happy to go through it again. I'm not going to go into the Dortmund PSG one because we'll find out the lineup in literally 10-20 minutes. So there's no need to speculate at this point. So let's go to the Madrid one again. Lunin, Carvajal, Rudiger, Nacho, Mendy, Tchouameni, Kroos, Valverde, Rodrigo, Bellingham and Vinicius. But some Madrid fans think that Nacho won't start. As for Bayern Munich, Neuer, Mazraoui, Dyer, De Ligt, Kimmich, Lima, Goretzka, Müller, Sane, Musiala and Kane. The only doubt really is Muller. It could be Gnabry playing there instead, and you've got Musiala as an attacking midfielder and a change of formation, not a 4-3-3, but rather a 4-2-3-1 with Lima and Goretzka sitting as they did against Arsenal in both legs and also against Real Madrid at the Allianz Arena. So that's the current lineup, and of course if you want to go back to this, you can rewind the stream. That is completely up to you. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Madrid and Bayern Munich. There's no need to go through that again. We won't do the lineups until tomorrow. I'm very confident about Dyer and De Ligt starting as the centre-backs. Kim and Jae will likely be a sell for me. But if Julian Brandt is also benched, I might focus on buying Valverde instead. Let's now go to my transfer plans once again. It's not 100% locked in, but I'm very likely to buy a PSG defender and or Donnarumma at the very least. Godsent says, just got here. Probably been asked this before, but Rodrigo or Kane? Very crunch decision for me. I'd favour Rodrigo this match day. And if you ask me in most games, most game weeks in this season, I'd say Harry Kane. But for match day 12, I'm going for Rodrigo. What do you think of Kim to Carvajal? That might be my transfer. I don't think that's a bad shout. I don't think Madrid defenders are particularly great. But yeah, Carvajal Rudiger is decent. Yeah, the transfer plans you can see on screen. Hakimi or Nuno Mendes. Hakimi has been very poor in terms of ball recoveries, true. But he does have a few games where he gets a lot of ball recoveries. I do get what you're saying, though. What I like about Nuno Mendes is the lower ownership, so I wouldn't mind going for him over Hakimi. I'm second in my UCL league, and I need 34 points to make up. Who are the best differentials? First place has been mostly PSG and Madrid players. Well, in that case, it's probably best for you to go for Dortmund and maybe Bayern Munich players, to be honest. I think the best options for you would be Sancho in the midfield and going for Hummels, Schlotterbeck, and maybe a Kobel or a Maatsen in the defensive line, because even if they concede, they can get so many ball recoveries as well. Maybe consider going for Dembele or Gonzalo Ramos. It looks like they're going to start tonight with Mbappe on the left-hand side. If that's the case, maybe go for one of those differential PSG players instead, to gain that rank and the points deficit to your mini-league rival. Will Musiala play? Yeah, he will. Defensive line for the match day, Maatsen, Hummels, Schlotterbeck, Hakimi, Rudiger. Should I make any changes? It's a very solid defensive line. I think Dortmund will concede, but every Dortmund defender you named is very good for ball recoveries, or at least in the case of Maatsen, some attacking potential. So I like that. But if I were to make a change, it's probably going to be one of those players for a Marquinhos or Nuno Mendes. Is Vitinha a good choice? I think he's decent. I don't think he's particularly great, but he's in good form. And if I'm buying a PSG midfielder fresh, it would be Vitinha. Kane to Dembele or Rodrigo? Rodrigo for me. But don't underestimate Harry Kane. I have 0 buying players. Is it risky? There's always a risk, right? But as I alluded to a bit earlier with my own transfer plans, it's very easy to build an 11 for matchday 13. You don't need substitutes for the Champions League final. So yeah, unless, let's say for example, you've gone all in on 2 teams and you've got 0 Bayern and you've got 0 Dortmund, for example, that could be an issue. I wouldn't be too concerned otherwise. Is it reasonable to sell Sabitzer for Sancho? I have 2 Bayern players only right now, as I'll sell Kim and Jae. Should I get a Bayern defender? I wouldn't buy a Bayern defender personally. For one, I think they get eliminated. Number 2, and to be honest, it probably should be number 1, I don't think Bayern keep a clean sheet at all. And the only reason I bought Kim and Jae was for the ball recoveries, but he was awful in matchday 11. So I'd rather go to a Madrid defender personally, like Rudiger or Carvajal. And then you look at matchday 12, I think PSG have the best chance of a clean sheet. So I'd rather go in that direction instead. Is it reasonable to sell Sabitzer for Sancho? Yeah, I think so. But I wouldn't do it for a hit, that's for sure. Yeah, I've been asked this a lot today, and I'm still in 2 minds about it. I think it's Rudiger or Carvajal. Take your pick from those 2. I think Rudiger's slightly more safe, but Carvajal, the only reason he didn't play in matchday 11 was the suspension he got. Sell Kim and Jae for Carvajal once the lineups for tonight come out. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm also considering Rudiger though. DA8354 says, considering only clean sheets and goals assists, Lunin, Carvalho, Mendes, or Donnarumma, Rudiger, Mendy. Matchday 13 in mind. Lunin probably won't start, and I'll need every sub. You don't need every sub in matchday 13 because you can't make manual substitutions, and you just need 11 players really. That's about it. So I personally disagree. And if I'm looking at the two trios, my favourite would be Lunin, Carvajal, and Mendes. I have Kane, Vinicius, and Rodrigo. Who should I bring in Mbappe for? Probably Harry Kane for me. Yeah, we're getting that question a lot. Gonzalo Ramos starting official. Yeah, I'll see if it's up. No, it's still not up on UEFA.com for some reason, but it will probably be on the PSG website. Let's see if I can get that up. Yeah, they are taking a bit long. Not like Real Madrid, who announced that lineup like 2-3 hours in advance. But yeah, once it's on UEFA.com, I'll go through the lineup. But oh, it's now there. All right, we'll head over to UEFA.com right now. So, Paris Saint-Germain have Donnarumma starting in goal with Hakimi, Marquinhos, Mbappe, Fabian Ruiz, Gonzalo Ramos, Dembele, Vitinha, Nuno Mendes, Zaire Emery, and Beraldo. So, yeah, Beraldo, decent shout for this match day. As for Borussia Dortmund, Kobel in goal, Schlotterbeck, Sancho, Füllkrug, Hummels, Brandt starts, Sabitzer, Maatsen, Emre Can, Ryerson, and Adeyemi. So, no real surprises there. Not really, just Gonzalo Ramos starting. That could be a major differential, actually. My top three forwards, besides the template, Kane, Vinicius, and Mbappe, would be Rodrigo, Gonzalo Ramos, and Dembele. I think those three can really perform in this match day. But yeah, Julian Brandt starts for the first time in an away game in this season's Champions League. So I'll be keeping him, it looks like, and I'll be focusing on my defence. Kim Min-jae is very unlikely to start tomorrow night, and I think that's where my energy will go towards. So I'll leave that up for a little while longer. Who do you want to win the most out of the 4 teams left? Probably Borussia Dortmund. I mean, honestly speaking, I don't necessarily care because it's not my team, but if I had a preference, it's Dortmund, definitely. Yeah, thank you, Pavle, for the lineups as well. Georgia is one of the best countries to visit. Great nature, 4 seasons, hospitable people, delicious cuisine, and excellent wine. Really recommend to everyone. Yeah, I've heard about the wine before, but I haven't tried any myself. And I'm wondering what cuisine you have. But yeah, there's a lot of underrated countries in terms of, yeah, food and all of that. So look, like I said, I'm open-minded, but I've got so many countries I need to go to be honest. I don't even want to go into that too much. Team for wildcard or limitless? It's covered in the videos and podcasts, so go to my channel, check out the best wildcard and limitless teams depending on what you want to use. It's all covered there. I've got the UCL Fantasy wildcard team that was used last week and I've done well. Should I stick with that wildcard team or swap Kobel for Donnarumma? Yeah, I'd probably swap Kobel to Donnarumma, but it's not a essential pick. And Kobel is better in isolation. It's just when you look at the clean sheet chances and maybe the probability of going through, I think Donnarumma is probably the better pick. Mohammed says, hi Dylan, Zaire Emery to Sancho Vitinha and bring Carvajal instead of eliminated player. Yeah, I can see why you're thinking that, but I still think Zaire Emery has a massive haul in him. He's a quality young talent. He just hasn't really performed in terms of goals and assists in this calendar year. But yeah, Carvajal for eliminated player, that would be my preference, that's for sure. Hi, Gnabry to Sane or Kim Min-jae to Carvajal? I'd rather do Kim Min-jae to Carvajal. I think Gnabry is more likely to start, and if he is on the bench, he can do something as a substitute as opposed to Kim Min-jae. Buy Hummels or Carvajal? I'd say Hummels, simply for the ball recoveries. Porco Gobato says, hola Dylan, le vendo a Kane por Rodrigo y Zaire Emery por Sané y un reemplazo para Guerrero. Ya tengo a Hummels y Maatsen. Para reemplazar a Guerrero, yo pondría a Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes o Hakimi. Uno de esos tres. Vendo a Kane por Rodrigo. No es ideal, pero yo creo que Rodrigo es mejor en esta jornada. Zaire Emery por Sané. Yo mantendría a Zaire Emery. No pondría a Sané en este momento. De Ligt isn't injured. Look, I know what you're saying. He had an injury, but he was in training from a few days ago, and a lot of these Bayern Munich lineups, the predicted lineups, have De Ligt with Eric Dyer in there. And the way Kim Min-jae played the other night, yeah, he just isn't reliable. If you bring Rodri, then it's only one Bayern player. Says I'm football. Rodri, I'm not sure who you mean. My mind's going blank. Sane or Musiala? Sane for me, as I mentioned last week as well. Best Guerrero replacement, have already Hakimi, Marquinhos, Hummels, Rudiger. I'd probably go for a third PSG defender in Nuno Mendes, but if you don't want to do that, I'd probably stick to a Schlotterbeck or Maatsen. I just think the ball recoveries is very important. Yeah, those are my transfer plans. Well, they were anyway, what I had on screen. Yeah, I've had this on for long enough. Well, now you can see the visuals of the formation, so I'll leave that for a little while longer. And yeah, after that, I'll go back to my team and start finalizing my transfers. And this could be a record for me in terms of the earliest I've locked in my team in UCL Fantasy, because typically I leave it until the very last minute, which I don't recommend to any of you. Should I remove Lunin and put Courtois? Lunin will start, according to Ancelotti. I covered this towards the beginning of the stream, so I wouldn't do that. Should I put Mbappe as captain or keep Vinicius? As I mentioned, he got me plenty of points. Also, I'm thinking of putting Sanchez to the Brandt. If you're playing UCL Fantasy, captain Mbappe because he plays tonight. If he blanks or doesn't perform that well, you can always switch it to Vinicius tomorrow. If I had to pick one, I'm going to go for Vinicius, but I'm not entirely sure. I got two Dortmund defenders, 2 PSG, 2 Dortmund mids, and 2 PSG mids, 1 PSG striker and 1 Madrid striker, keeper Kobel and Lunin. Yeah, that looks good. I'd recommend a second Madrid attacker if possible. So Rodrigo and Vinicius at the same time. That would be great. Fabian Ruiz by mid, Sancho. Sancho for me. Kim and Jay out for Carvajal and Kobel out for Donnarumma. Or just Kim and Jay out for Carvajal enough. I've got last week's wildcard team. I think that is enough, but I'd probably go for the Donnarumma transfer as well, because I'm backing PSG for the clean sheet if I had to pick one team out of the 4 in terms of having the best chance. That's just me though. Why is there Emery? Why not Vitinha? I never said Zaire Emery is better than Vitinha, not recently anyway. I've said it many times last week and this week that Vitinha is the best PSG midfielder on current form, but I don't think I'm going to sell Zaire Emery, to be honest. I have Kim In-jae, who's likely to be benched tomorrow, and I've got 2 eliminated players, so it makes sense for me to offload those players instead. Rodrigo or Kane to Vinicius. As I mentioned earlier, I'd sell Kane if I had to pick one. I have no Real defenders, which worries me. Should I go for Lunin, Carvajal instead of Hakimi Donnarumma? I have Marquinhos. I like Lunin for matchday 12, but should Real Madrid reach the Champions League final, there is a chance that Courtois comes back in goal, so that is risky. If I had to pick between those players, I'd go for Hakimi and Donnarumma, because I think they can keep a clean sheet here. I think it's Carvajal. He'll provide defensive and offensive work. Yeah, I said that last week as well, that if I had to pick one, it'd be Carvajal, but I think he averages 2.4 points per game, which is very poor, and Rudiger isn't much better. Mbappe or Zaire Emery captain? Mbappe for me. But Zaire Emery has performed very well against Borussia Dortmund in the past. So yeah, I've gone through the lineups already. Yeah, no real surprises except Gonzalo Ramos starting, which could be a massive differential for all of you. But let's now go to my Champions League fantasy transfers. Yeah, let's go to that now. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think it's a laptop problem, by the way, or something, some hardware issue, which I'm going to have to sort out. But yeah, if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. I'm now gonna put out a poll very quickly, and I think I'll keep it quite simple, actually. Nothing too woke. Let's also put Nuno Mendes in there. I think he could be a nice shout. Let's do that. All right, just gonna put a poll out here. Let's get the stream to over 100 likes to begin with, and then after that we'll push on towards 200. And yeah, be sure to vote in this poll. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out the links in the description below for my Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM. Consider becoming a patron or a channel member. There is a Discord server, which is great for UCL Fantasy and FPL, a link to DraftHound, as well as Spotify and Amazon Music. Leave a 5-star review on my podcast. It'd be greatly appreciated. Any news about Courtois? Yes, Lunin will start. That was confirmed by Ancelotti. Is it worth playing Limitless this week? I mean, the Limitless isn't great at the moment, to be quite honest with you. It really isn't. But if I'm picking between matchday 12 or 13, I'll play it now. Donnarumma, Lunin, Rudiger, Maatsen, Hakimi, Hummels, Dyer, says Hugo. Yeah, that's a solid defensive line. Yeah, Nuno Mendes is a good buy this week. I think so. Who in place of Kim In-jae? For me personally, it's in the poll, but I've covered this throughout the stream. I'd personally recommend PSG defenders if possible. Hey Dylan, Sabitzer or Hummels as captain today? I'd go for Hummels out of those two. Dylan, which are the essential picks this match day? Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham. I'd also go for a Marquinhos or Hakimi. So basically PSG defenders and Madrid attackers. 7.5 million Vitinha, Zaire Emery, Brandt or Sancho. Quite close, but I'd favour Vitinha at the moment. Okay. Sane or Marquinhos? I prefer Marquinhos this match day. Captaining Hummels this game and we'll shift it to Vinicius or Kane tomorrow. Looks good to me. I personally prefer Mbappe, but that's fine. Best replacement for Hernandez. Once again, PSG defenders if you don't have them already. So take your pick between Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes and Hakimi. Sabitzer out for Warren Zaire-Emery and who at the place of Kim Min-jae? Yeah, look, I've said this before. Either way, whether you sell Zaire-Emery to Sabitzer or vice versa, I'm not sure if that's really worth it, but hopefully luck is on your side there. Who to replace Kim Min-jae with? So you've got Nuno, Hakimi, Hummels and Nacho. I'd probably go for a third PSG defender, really. So Marquinhos would definitely spring to mind. If you don't want to do that, and by the way, Nacho might not start. I know I showed him in a predicted lineup earlier, but that isn't a guarantee. Yeah, I'd say either Marquinhos or Rudiger / Carvajal. Rudiger, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Kim Min-jae, Maatsen, any changes? Not necessarily. That's a good defensive line. You don't need to make any moves there. Hummels is the only major absentee, but yeah, Kim Min-jae to Hummels. I'd probably do that, or get a third PSG defender. I think that's really it. The rest looks good. Which two teams will go through? I'm very convinced about Madrid. I think PSG Dortmund is a bit tougher to call, but I'd probably back PSG. Best midfielder this game week, any price? I'd say Valverde. I think he's probably the one I'd go for. Also looking ahead to matchday 13, but of course you do say for this game week. How many subs allowed for tomorrow? It's always the same. You can... anyone on your bench you can bring on, but just make sure that those on your bench is playing tomorrow and not today. Why do you think Süle is not starting for Dortmund? I'm not so sure. He starts in the Bundesliga, but in the Champions League, Hummels is the main centre-back. He's been very good for them. And yeah, Schlotterbeck and Hummels is a good centre-back partnership, so it's quite difficult to break into that team on paper. Dylan, would you sell Brandt to Valverde or Saliba to Carvajal, Mendes, Marquinhos? I'd obviously sell Saliba there. Is there a way to see effective ownership in top 100? I don't think so, Yusuf. In FPL, you've got all these resources and websites, but not for UCL Fantasy. I'm 48 overall. I don't know who to buy, Sabitzer or Brandt for Vitinha. Also worth Valverde for Musiala as a third transfer. Yeah, now with Valverde, I think that's a good move for matchday 13 as well. But it could really go either way. I don't think there's a particular standout in the midfield, except Bellingham, really. The best way to kind of judge effective ownership is by checking the ownership figures, really. That's the only thing you can do at this stage. And yeah, I'm not sure who's got higher ownership between Vitinha. Yeah, you're looking to buy a Dortmund midfielder for Vitinha. That's interesting. That's yeah, I think both of them have very similar ownership. It might actually be the same. So 5% for Sabitzer, and for Brandt it's 6%. So based on that, maybe Sabitzer is the slight differential, but it's really going to be not much in it. Both of them are massive. Rodrigo or Ramos? Rodrigo. Best midfielder to get? I have Jude, Vitinha, Sancho, Kimmich. I've been asked this question a lot, and honestly, there aren't many great midfielders on paper. I'd probably say Valverde. That's probably my pick. So I'll try not to go through the same questions, especially if you repeat stuff, so just bear that in mind. Worth taking a -4 hit to transfer out Kim Min-jae for a Madrid defender? No. It's not worth a -4 hit for me. I think Madrid concede. Thank you, Godson, for moderating the chat. Should I keep or transfer Bellingham? Keep. Aditya puts his team. Do I swap Valverde and Donnarumma to Musiala and Kobel? No. If anything, I think Valverde and Donnarumma is better than the players you're looking to buy. Musiala or Sane? Sane. Valverde or Marquinhos? I'd say Marquinhos. Who's the best captain today? Sounds boring, but Mbappe for me. Wildcard team? It's covered in the wildcard video, which I uploaded yesterday, so check that out. I don't really change anything from that. Should I upgrade Musiala, Sabitzer, Dyer, Rudiger? I have 3.6 million in the bank. I'd focus on buying other defenders and midfielders and keeping those players you have already, but I'm not sure what the rest of your squad looks like. Can you suggest differential captain for today? I'd say either Dembele or Gonzalo Ramos in that order. I think that's pretty much what I'd go to. If you're favouring Dortmund, then maybe Sancho. I need to move ranks in my mini league, and going for Mbappe won't make me higher in the ranks. At this point, I want to go all in. Yeah, that's fine. I'd probably say Dembele or Gonzalo Ramos. I think those two are the ones. Adeyemi or Füllkrug? I'd probably go for Füllkrug, but it's very close. Sabitzer or Brandt? Sabitzer, not much in it. Got Vitinha, Jude, Valverde, Sane. I need one more. Once again, there's not a clear standout. If I had to pick a fifth midfielder, I'm probably going for Zaire Emery. Gonzalo Ramos in instead of Kane as captain. Well, yes, because Kane plays tomorrow, and I've mentioned this in every stream and video practically. The way you play UCL Fantasy is you captain a player who plays tonight, so on the Tuesday, if they blank or they don't do that well, you change it during the substitution window before tomorrow's matches start, and then you can bring in Harry Kane as your captain if you wish. 34 points to make up. Taking the punt on Ramos and Sancho. He has neither, and he will probably captain Mbappe. Should I captain one of those? Yeah, I see what you're doing, and if that's your main target, to finish top of your mini league, it makes sense to go different and to really chase it that way. So yeah, I probably would go for something different, and I'd favour Gonzalo Ramos, actually. Cylindra says, Mbappe, Kane, Vinicius Jr., who would you sell for a punt to Ramos? I'd sell Kane, if I had to pick one. It's risky, but the same goes for if you sell any of those forwards. It's always going to be the case. A free transfer on goalkeeper. I have 3 defenders and 1 goalkeeper out. You got 3 defenders out. In that case, go for a defender. 100%. Change for Kim Min-jae. I'm probably going to a Real Madrid defender. So, yeah, Marquinhos is likely to come in for me. Nuno Mendes is also decent, to be fair. But, yeah, I think I'm going to go to a Madrid defender. Pretty self-explanatory. Be sure to smash the like button if you haven't already. We're very close to 100 likes, and after that, we'll want to push on towards 200 plus. Yeah, Nuno Mendes, I have to say, I do like the differential aspect. He is very, very intriguing to me, so he might come in instead of Marquinhos. I might even go all in on Paris Saint-Germain. I think that's what I might do. And either way, obviously for the Champions League final, I'd probably want to get some Madrid defenders, assuming they go through. But yeah, with 5 free transfers, I think I could be pretty well set up regardless. But for this match day only, I think that could be a major differential for me if I go all in on PSG defensively. It can also go tits up and be an absolute flop, but that is something worth considering. Kimmich to Valverde, worth it? Yes, I think so. Would you get Cruz? I prefer Valverde, but Cruz is fine. Mendes or Marquinhos? Marquinhos is my slight preference, but Nuno Mendes is a great shout. Valverde for Sabitzer, Brandt. Maybe for Brandt, possibly. I don't think there's much difference between all of them. The only thing is that Valverde is likely to reach the final and possibly win the competition. I think he has one big moment in him in terms of goals or assists. Transferring free out of Rudiger, Valverde, Hummels, Donnarumma. I'd buy Hummels, Donnarumma and Valverde. Best midfielder to get. I think I've covered your question, Jack, and I'd probably stick with Zaire Emery. I'm captaining Vitinha. Thoughts? Not a big fan of Vitinha as a captaincy option, but it's not a bad shout. He's done it in the Champions League knockout stages before. Start, bench, sell, all prime. Ramos, Maldini, Puyol. I'd start Maldini. The others is very close. I think Puyol's a better defender than Ramos, but what you get with Ramos is the clutch goals, and obviously Puyol scored one of the most important goals in Spain's history, the winner in the semi-final against Germany, but Sergio Ramos has done it so many times for Madrid. But Maldini undoubtedly starts. I'm not sure about the other two, though. It's very close between them. Obviously, most people would say Ramos is better, and that's fair enough. But I just think defensively, Puyol is more solid. Hummels or Nuno Mendes, Beraldo? I'd say Nuno Mendes in this match day, but Hummels is fantastic in any given game. Is it worth taking hits if I only have 9 players after 3 transfers, even though there aren't really any great options? Yeah, it might be worth a hit or two in your case, but I wouldn't take too many. Do you think Nacho is starting? I'm honestly not sure. From the Madrid lineup I showed you earlier, Nacho is the least likely to start, in my opinion. Best midfielder to get? Yeah, you've spammed that question. Kimmich or Valverde, says Francisco. Valverde. Cesar Morales says Kimmich, Vitinha or Sabitzer. Vitinha. Alexandru says Rodrigo, Dembele or Ramos por game. I'd go for Rodrigo. Sane or Valverde or Sancho. Valverde. Who plays set pieces for Dortmund? Who takes the penalties? I'm fairly sure it's Füllkrug, but I might be mistaken about that. If there is a Dortmund fan in the chat, be sure to correct me if I'm wrong. If I already have two starting defenders from both of today's teams, do I get a known third from one of them or get one of tomorrow's teams, transferring Lucas Vazquez out? It's a good question. I'm also looking at something similar. I would probably go for someone from tomorrow's team, but I might change that myself. Sane or Valverde? I'd say Valverde, looking ahead to matchday 13-2. Hi, Rodrigo to Vinicius. I'd keep Rodrigo if possible, but Vinicius is the best forward in the game right now. Sancho or Valverde? I'm going for Valverde. Yep, thank you. That's a great reminder. And I'll show you my predictions as well. Leave your predictions in the chat. First team to score, player of the match, and also, obviously, the result. Yeah, Rodrigo for me, Alexandru. Thank you, by the way, to Keith and to Godson, everyone who's been moderating the chat, because, yeah, there's a lot of spamming, which we don't tolerate. Rudiger or Marquinhos? Marquinhos for me. Juan Garcia says, should I make any changes to this midfield? Not necessarily. I think that's a pretty well-stacked midfield. I mean, you could nitpick and say Musiala to Gnabry or Sane, but is it necessarily worth it? I'm not so sure. I think one midfielder who could do really well this match day is Emery. The Rated R Superstar says, good night, Dylan, my team. Best of luck, everyone. Thank you very much to you as well, Mr. Edge. Dembele and Vitinha captaincy. I'd go for Dembele. What do you think about PSG keeping a clean sheet tonight? It's not locked in, and I don't trust PSG that much, but I think they're the most likely. As the bookmakers say, the odds and all of that, they all back PSG out of the 4 teams to keep a clean sheet. Not really, Wei saying I covered this earlier, and Eric Dyer and De Ligt are expected to start tomorrow. De Ligt has actually been spotted in training, and Lunin will start, which I've covered already throughout the whole week. Donnarumma or Neuer? Donnarumma. And of course, if you have both, Luis, start Donnarumma today and then bring on Neuer tomorrow if needed. Kim and Jay for Marquinhos or Nuno Mendes? Probably say Marquinhos, but once again, very close. Is Eder Militao match fit? He has been available for some time now, but I'm not sure if he will start in a game of this magnitude. Courtois will be a starter. No, Lunin will start. I've covered this before. Füllkrug or Mbappe, says Junior Fantasy. Mbappe. Yeah, Sabitzer, says Luis. You might be right. I'll double check that. I might as well. Just to be sure I don't get that wrong. So I appreciate it. Let me have a quick look and see who took Dortmund's last penalty. Might take me a while. Hopefully it doesn't. But yeah, I'll be on the lookout for that. And I'll answer the remaining questions once I can find this detail out as well. I'm not sure what's wrong with this device at the moment, but it is what it is. So let's see. Dortmund. Nope. Okay, gonna have to keep looking. Let's see. It's been a while since they scored a penalty, actually. Yeah, Sabitzer took the last penalty against Borussia Mönchengladbach. You are right. You are right. So that obviously plays a big advantage to Sabitzer. Füllkrug didn't start that game, though. It's worth mentioning. It was Sebastian Haller, and he picked up that injury, which he's now just recovered from. But yeah, Sabitzer is the penalty taker for Borussia Dortmund. Thank you for the correction there. That's massively appreciated, Luis. Is there a way to see effective ownership? Like I mentioned earlier, mate, there's not really a way. Just check the ownership figures. That's really all you can do. Sancho or Sabitzer? I'd say Sancho, but remember, Sabitzer is on penalties. Mbappe, Kane or Vinicius to Dembele? I'd sell Kane. If I had to pick one, that is. How many transfers do we get in the finals? You get 5 free transfers. Mohammed says, I'll go for Carvajal, Hummels and Marquinhos. Rudiger couldn't get it, no funds. It's not really a big deal, though. Rudiger hasn't been great in UCL Fantasy since his Chelsea days. Benjamin says, Kane out, double Madrid attack, Rodrigo and Vinicius with soon Galactico Mbappe. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. If, for example, Kim Min-jae was starting tomorrow and, you know, I had no issues apart from my eliminated players, I'd consider Kane to Rodrigo, that's for sure. I think that's the one player I'm probably missing out on this week. Sell Rodrigo or Kane for Vinicius? I'd sell Kane if I had to pick one. Is it worth a hit? Sorry, I just lost your question. Is it worth a hit for Rudiger Valverde? I don't think so. I see Bellingham getting the player of the match tomorrow. Just got that feeling like I did with Haaland versus Wolves. Yeah, don't remind me. Damn that Haaland guy. Zaire Emery to Vitinha, says Hugo. I probably would keep Zaire Emery, to be honest. Goretzka, keep or sell? I think is a sell. Predictions? Yeah, we'll go through that now. So, I've gone for 2-0 PSG and 2-1 Madrid, but I'm kind of in two minds about it. I might go for 3-1 Madrid and 2-1 PSG. Those are kind of the predictions I'm stuck between. First team to score, PSG and Madrid, with Mbappe and Rodrigo as the player of the matches, but I think Bellingham is a good shout by the gentleman there. I think that could also play a part. I don't think Vinicius will win it back-to-back. I'm going brain dead in predictor. 0-0 with Kobel man of the match. Yeah, I'm just happy I got one absolutely spot on and I captained it, put the booster on that prediction, but it's a very rare occurrence for me. Fulkrug or Mbappe? Mbappe. And I'd go for Sabitzer out of those two. Bellingham a sell? No, no chance. PSG 1, Dortmund 3, says Man United is finished. Ah, you've changed it now. Madrid 4, Bayern 1, BVB first to score today, and Real first to score. Well, that's interesting. That would be actually pretty entertaining. I'd love it. Maybe not so much if I, go all in on PSG, but yeah, hopefully Dortmund can do the business. Kim Min-jae for Hummels or Valverde for Kimmich? I'd rather go to Hummels. Raman says, hey Dylan, hope you're doing well. Will there be a draft version of Euro 2024 team selection anytime soon? Huge hugs from Azerbaijan. Thank you very much for tuning in. As I mentioned earlier with Euro 2024, at the moment I'm likely to do content, but it's not absolutely confirmed and locked in because the next month or so is going to be quite hectic for me. But if I'm able to do it, I will be doing Euro 2024 fantasy content like I did for the last Euros tournament. Bavia says, hey Dylan, pick 2. I'd go for Marquinhos and probably Nuno Mendes, actually. Dyer will start tomorrow. It's very likely, Juan. Yeah. Yeah, so the chat is pretty hectic, so I'll try to whiz through these. Unique says, is Nacho expected to start? Yes, but a lot of Madrid fans did question that in the predicted lineup I went through earlier. Nuno Mendes or Rudiger? Nuno Mendes. Gnabry, thoughts? A good differential in the midfield. If you're looking for something a bit kind of left field, I think Gnabry is decent. Lunin plus who for second goalkeeper? Probably Donnarumma, because he's at home, and I think PSG have a better chance of a clean sheet. Badgeras says 2-2 PSG Dortmund. Real Madrid 3-1. Yeah, I'm thinking of something similar for Madrid. 3-1 there. But Bayern have been quite decent in the Champions League. Best of 5 defenders for Limitless. Check out my Limitless video. It's all covered there. I don't think I'd change anything. Maybe add another PSG defender in there, but that's about it. Should I change Rudiger and put Nuno Mendes? I do prefer Nuno Mendes this match day, but I'm not sure if I'd sell Rudiger. Should I put Vinicius in place of, I'm guessing it's Rodrigo, and go with only one goalkeeper? Yeah, let me know, Luis, who you're buying Vinicius for. Nuno or Rudiger? Nuno Mendes for me. Do I sell Rodrigo for Vinicius Jr.? I'd keep Rodrigo. Now, yes, Vinicius is the best forward in the game at the moment, but I wouldn't sell Rodrigo. Hola Dylan, differential midfielder. Sabitzer y Gnabry para mí son bastante buenos. Will Musiala start? And if so, is he better than Brandt? He will start. And is he better than Brandt? I'm not so sure, to be honest. Kane for Sancho or Adeyemi? Kane for Sancho or Adeyemi? I'd go for Sancho. Fulkrug's last scored 2 penalties back in January in the Bundesliga. Right, okay. Yeah, like I said, Fulkrug wasn't on the pitch when Sabitzer took the last penalty, so it's probably between those two, actually. Yeah, Carvalho will play. Exactly, Josh. Vasquez won't start. Is it worth to take a hit for Kim Min-jae? No. Goretzka to Gnabry, thoughts? That's a good transfer. If it's for free, then that's fine. Musiala, great talent, but as I mentioned many times, he has no goals or assists since Matchday 3 in UCL Fantasy, so I don't think it's a great option. How many points for a captain today is a keep? 6-7 is enough for me. At this stage of the competition, even in the quarterfinals, 1 return is enough. Rudiger or Valverde? I'd say Valverde, but not much in it. 3 attackers with Kane plus or slash 5 mids. I can only have 11 players with no hits. So 3 attackers with Kane or 5 mids. I'd go for 3 attackers. Hi Dylan, great show. Hakimi for captain today. Well, that's something different, and I know a lot of people are looking to go against Mbappe to chase mini league deficits and all that, but I wish you the best. Thank you, Jibex34. Captain, for me it's going to be Mbappe. That's not really an issue. What is going to be an issue for me is my final transfer and just locking that in. Mohamed puts his final team, which looks very solid, I have to say. Yeah, I don't really have much to say about that. It's well set up. Batnik, great name. Have 1 transfer left. What should I do? Well, you have to sell one of your eliminated players, of course. So either Ruben Dias or Molina. Molina's a bit more expensive, so I'd sell him. And yeah, Alphonso Davies probably won't start. I'd consider taking a -4 hit and selling both Dias and Molina to bolster your defensive line. And who would I go for? Possibly a Marquinhos or Nuno Mendes, perhaps both. And also a Madrid defender if you don't go for 2 PSG ones. 1-0 for PSG, but BVB win on pens, says Cyril. That would be quite good, actually. Covers all bases for me. Only Lunin, says Cancharismo. Only Lunin, I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'll probably get a second goalkeeper, yeah. My prediction is the Classica rematch at Wembley. Yeah, that's true, actually. The last Champions League final at Wembley was between those 2 sides. I don't think so. I think Madrid go through and win it. I hope I'm wrong. Thank you, Palkos, as well. Good luck to you as well. Valverde or Vitinha? I'm going to go for Valverde, just because of the Matchday 13 factor as well. Sancho for captain. So not a bad shout, but my favourites today would be Mbappe, Dembele and Gonzalo Ramos. Hakimi, Marquinhos, Lunin, says Hamza. Yeah, all good players. I'm assuming that's your free transfers. Best Madrid defender. There's not a standout. It's Rudiger or Carvajal. Take your pick. I might go for Carvajal. No one talk about Cruz. He has been mentioned a few times, to be fair. And as for the vote, by the way, very, very close. Kim Min-jae to Carvajal is taking up 30%, whilst Kim Min-jae to Rudiger is taking up 29%. But ultimately, a lot of you are saying to buy a Madrid defender. Nuno Mendes is last here, but it does make sense with my current setup. So I'll probably try to go back to this predictor very soon and lock this in. I might even go for 3-1 Madrid, but I'm not too sure about this. 2-1 PSG, 3-1 Madrid, that might be what I end up going for. Let's wait and see. The last time PSG played Dortmund at this stadium, it was 2-0 PSG. Will it happen, twice in a row? I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, interesting times ahead, that is for sure. Difficult games to call in terms of the score lines and stuff, but I think Madrid will go through. That is one thing I'm very sure about. So I'll stick with these predictions for now, but I'm not so sure if they will hold. So let's now go back to my Champions League fantasy transfers. So yeah, Donnarumma and Marquinhos I think will come in for me, and I think I'll go for a Madrid defender. So either Rudiger or Carvajal for me. It's just not really too great though. Nacho actually has the highest points per match day of any Madrid defender, apart from I think Alaba, who only started 1 game or something like that. But yeah, it's really slim pickings in this position. I think Bayern Munich will score, so this is kind of an insurance policy looking ahead to the final as well. Yes, not looking great in this position. Yeah, and Alaba 5 points per match day, which is good, but he's the only Madrid player who isn't training. Nacho 3.8, Rudiger 3.2, Fran Garcia, who was discussed heavily on this channel towards the beginning of the season. Vasquez won't start, so Carvajal 2.4 points per match day is pretty awful, to be quite honest with you. He got an assist in a recent La Liga game, but is he really worth it? Only 1 return. That is just not great showing, is it? That's why I'm considering going for Nuno Mendes and just going all in on Paris Saint-Germain, which is a big risk, but it could really pay off. And Nuno Mendes, he averages 4 points per match day, which is much better. And of course, Hakimi and Marquinhos are the best they have to offer in that position. Lucas Beraldo also starts. He's decent. Yeah, Nuno Mendes has been quite good in the knockout stages. Very impressive, in fact. Yeah, only 1 blank out of 4 matches, so let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. This is definitely not locked in, so just bear that in mind. Best captain for tomorrow, if I don't have Rodrigo, I'd say Vinicius or Bellingham, between those two. Mbappe has been useless lately. Yeah, he's only got 1 return for me in the Champions League, and when I didn't go for him in Matchday 7, he absolutely killed me, and also Matchday 8. Hakimi or Hummels? I'd say Hakimi. Kane or Füllkrug for Vinicius? I'd rather sell Füllkrug, personally. Good luck to you as well, Mohammed. Good squad as well. Man of the match, I think Vinicius. Yeah, I thought so last time, but I think it'll be either Rodrigo or Bellingham this time out. Magic House Spain says, ¿Qué tal, Dylan? Gracias por estar un día más aquí. Rodrigo in for Kane or Maatsen in for Gvardiol? I know it might sound easy, but I don't know. What if Rodrigo performs? No, I think Rodrigo's a great shout, to be honest. I can see why you're doubting it, but Harry Kane's had a great season, and I'd always rather sell the eliminated player, in this case Gvardiol, and go to a Maatsen instead. But maybe go for a PSG defender, like a Nuno Mendes, Marquinhos or Hakimi. That could also be your play. But yeah, if you're asking me, I'm going for Maatsen in for Gvardiol. Thank you very much for your comment. Muchas gracias. Bellingham not in good form as well. He isn't, but it's Bellingham, and I think tomorrow he could really step up. Is Vitinha important to have? Not necessarily. I think he's a good midfielder, but he's mainly a defensive option for Paris Saint-Germain, and yeah, he's not someone I would have really thought about. You know, if we still had Saka and Foden, I don't think Vitinha would really cross my mind. Defender, Real Madrid or Bayern? Real Madrid. Courtois? Courtois won't start. It will be Lunin. This is confirmed by Ancelotti, so it's up to you if you want to go for Courtois, but it's very likely, almost certain, that you're going to get a benched goalkeeper there. Sane, Musiala or Kroos instead of Kimmich? I'd personally go for a Sane there. Man United says, should I keep Goretzka and buy a defender or buy a midfielder and have 1 defender eliminated? I'd go for the defender transfer. I always go for that sort of thing. Hamza puts his squad as well. No second goalkeeper. My other defenders are Hummels, Hakimi, Ryerson and Lunin. So let's break it down. So you've got 3, 4, 5. Oh, right. You're saying go for those 4 or go for the other 4. I'd go for the first 4 then and have another goalkeeper. Kimmich or Kroos? Probably Kimmich. Not much in it. Would you do Musiala to Valverde, Sancho, Kimmich, Brand or keep? I would go to... I think I'd keep. Carvalho receives a yellow card every match. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's why he got suspended in the first place. Sell Kim Min-jae for Maatsen. I like Maatsen, but I'd rather go to PSG defenders or even a Rudiger/Carvajal. Why are you doing Kobel to Donnarumma? I'm not. I'm selling Oblak. If I had Kobel, I'd actually consider doing Kane to Rodrigo instead, or something different. Welcome, Paredes. Good to see you. Brandt or Sancho? Sancho. Would you do Kimmich to Sane? I'd consider it, yeah, but ultimately, I think both of them blank. That's my personal take. Vitinha or Brandt or Sancho? Vitinha. Man United lost 4-0 to Palace. Had to change my name. Yeah, but I think they'll turn up at the weekend against Arsenal. I hope I'm wrong, but that is my gut feeling. Gotta go now, Dylan. Got exams tomorrow, so good night and good luck. Likewise, Sadindra, good luck with your exams. Any injury news for tomorrow? Lunin will start, despite Courtois featuring at the weekend against Cadiz. Anything else, really? Eric Dyer is back from a head injury. De Ligt is also in training, and they're expected to start for Bayern Munich. And also Guerrero is out for the rest of the season, which I've covered in all my videos and podcasts. Thank you, Paredes, for the super chat. Is it better just having 2 goalkeepers from the same match and bet on one to feature in the final? I now have Lunin and Kobel. Kind of want Kobel plus Donnarumma. I'd always favour having a goalkeeper on each day, so having one of those options and then going for Lunin for the moment. That is always going to be what I'd recommend. So, yeah, I don't like having 2 goalkeepers from the same day, to be honest. Rudiger or Carvajal? I mean, I said Carvajal before, but there's really not much in it. Rudiger averages 3.2 points per match, and Carvajal averages 2.4. So I'd go for Rudiger, but there's really not much in it. Yeah, if I had the Limitless, I'd use it now. Because remember, for the Champions League final, you just need a starting 11, and manual substitutions aren't a thing for the Champions League final. So that's not going to be really important. You don't need a 50-man squad. So I'd use it now and then use 5 free transfers to set up your Champions League final team. Thank you, Man United. Ancelotti said that Lunin is already playing. Yeah, but a lot of people aren't aware of that, and that's why we're getting the question. Carvajal will play. Yes, he's back from suspension. So Vasquez will drop to the bench and Carvajal is very likely to start. Does Nacho start for Madrid? I showed a lineup earlier, which had Nacho in it, but that's the only pick that I saw which was questioned by Madrid fans. So I'm not sure what they're going to go for, but it's possible. It really is. And he might actually be the best Madrid defender for Matchday 12, if he starts, of course. Is it worth using all 3 transfers this game week? If you can, then yes, I think it is worth it. You can make an upgrade, even if it's Harry Kane to Rodrigo, which is risky, but that sort of transfer can really pay off. Vitinha or Valverde? I'd go for Valverde. Sane or Musiala? Sane for me. Adzo M says, one of Sancho, Vitinha, Sabitzer or Brandt. I still have the wild card, so I can risk. I'd personally go for Vitinha, but amongst the Dortmund midfielders, I think Sancho's the best. And it's between Sabitzer and Füllkrug for penalties for Borussia Dortmund, which could be massive tonight. 123 says, I need to make free transfers, please help. So, yeah, I'd sell Asensio, who is benched today. I'd also sell Brahim Diaz. But yeah, you've got eliminated players at the back, so focus on that first. Lunin and Kobel, fine, keep that as it is. I'd sell Molina and Diaz. And to be honest, Alphonso Davies is very unlikely to start tomorrow, according to the lineups I saw. Probably Mazzari at left back, but yeah. Obviously, with the third transfer, I'm not going to lie to you. There's a lot of things you could do, and it's down to your interpretation and your preference. But what I would recommend is selling Diaz and Molina to a Nuno Mendes or Marquinhos, and possibly a Madrid defender like Rudiger. Then it's up to you what you do with the third transfer, because that is down to interpretation. Neuer a keep. If you can sell him to Lunin, I probably would, but it's not a big deal. Lunin plus Kobel or Donnarumma. I'm currently favouring Donnarumma. I think Kobel's the better goalkeeper in UCL Fantasy. But in this head-to-head at Paris Saint-Germain, I think they're more likely to keep a clean sheet. I don't think Davis plays, but it's between him and Mazzari for the left-back spot. Guerrero is out for the rest of the season. Rodrigo or Füllkrug? Rodrigo, 100%. I've covered him to death. Rodrigo is my top differential pick. Captain Hakimi, Mbappe or Ramos? I'd go for Mbappe personally. But if you want to go different, Gonzalo Ramos looks good. Would you prefer having 2 Dortmund defenders and Kobel, or 3 Dortmund defenders and Donnarumma? That is a good question. I think I'd rather go for 2 Dortmund defenders and Kobel. Thank you, Darko. Rodrigo or Kane? Rodrigo for this match day. Yep, Lunin is playing according to Ancelotti. Unless he's lying to our faces, he's going to play. Brandt or Sabitzer? Sabitzer. Nacho dipping in and out of the team. Yeah, he's a great utility player. He can play all across the defensive line, but that also makes him an issue in these fantasy games. Kane to Vinicius. Yeah, I would do it. Is Kim and Jae playing? Probably not. It'll be Dyer and De Ligt in my opinion. What about Kane out, Dembele in with Mbappe and Vinicius? If you want to go differential, it's a good shout, but I'd personally keep Kane in this case. Vitinha or Sane? I'd go for Vitinha for this match day. Sell Sabitzer or Musiala for Valverde or Zaire Emery? I would sell Musiala to Zaire Emery. That's just a personal take though. Good luck to you as well, Gary. Always a pleasure. Okay, but what about Mendy? Once again, all these Madrid defenders aren't particularly great. If I go to Mendy now, he averages, what, 2 points per game? 2.9 points per match day. There's honestly, it's not great reading for all of the Madrid defenders, the way I see it. Brandt, Valverde, Vitinha, Valverde for me. Is Kim and Jae playing? I've covered. Dyer to Madrid defender or Oblak to Donnarumma. Dyer will probably play tomorrow, so I do Oblak to Donnarumma. Andres Suarez says, Foden, Witsel, Koundé, Akanji, Oblak eliminated. Which transfers do you recommend doing? I'd sell Oblak. Wait, so you've already got a goalkeeper, don't you? But I'd sell Foden first of all. I'd also look to sell 1 defender. And then the third one is tricky, but I think I'd focus on the midfield. But it all depends on who you have already, Andres. But yeah, Without knowing the rest of your team, it's difficult for me to say because some players I might recommend you already have, but definitely I'd sell Foden, and I'd probably sell a defender as well. I have 2 defenders from Borussia, Dortmund and PSG. What's the best replacement for Dyer? I'd probably say a Madrid defender. So Rudiger, Felan Mendy or Carvajal, take your pick from those. No, Adam, because Ancelotti said that Lunin will play. Best limitless draft, covered in the video. Check that out. I made the videos for a reason, so they're all there on the channel. Kobo or Donnarumma? Donnarumma for me. Courtois returning. He's already in the squad. He played against Cadiz at the weekend, but it will be Lunin playing tomorrow. What about not having Kane at all? Yeah, that's fine. I think Rodrigo is the one to go for. But selling Kane is always risky. I'm personally going to keep him, Harry Kane, because I've got 2 eliminated players and Kim Min-jae will likely not play tomorrow. So it makes sense for me to focus on those positions instead. Gonzalo Ramos or Kane? I'd go for Ramos this match day, but not by much. Hey Dylan, Sancho or Valverde? I'd go for Valverde. Bellingham, Brandt, Kimmich, Sabitzer, Vitinha. Whom should I bring in and at what place? Maybe if you were to sell one, it'd be Kimmich out, and I'd consider a Vitinha. Well, you got Vitinha. I'd maybe go for Zaire Emery actually. Vitinha or Brandt or Sancho or Sane? Vitinha. Best 3 midfielders: Bellingham, Vitinha, and Zaire Emery. I think that's probably what I'd go for. I don't think I'd sell one for the other. Just keep what you have. Will Couture play this game week? We've gotten this question a lot. He might play in the final, should they reach it, but he's not going to play tomorrow. I've covered that to death. All right, how about a -4 for Maatsen next to Hummels, Mendes, and Hakimi? Do you need to take the -4 hit, will be my question. I know Maatsen's a good asset, but I probably wouldn't. Vitinha or Sabitzer? Vitinha. Schlotterbeck or Hummels? Hummels. Lunin isn't the best option because Couture playing the final. Well, that's not absolutely guaranteed. I think Couture will play the final, should they reach it, but I have Lunin already. I'm not going to sell him, am I? Would you go for 5 players of the same team? Yeah, probably Madrid. I do like the balance I have, though. Of course, if I go for this setup, I would have a lot of PSG players. In fact, I would have too many, you could argue. And that's the only reason why I might go for a Madrid defender in the end. But yeah, 5 players from the same team is enough, or even 6. Best Madrid defender? There's not really a standout, is the honest answer. I'd probably say Rudiger. Mohammed says, hi Dylan, my team. Yeah, sell Kim Min-jae, in my opinion, sell Guerreiro. And if I had to pick a third option to offload, it probably would be Goretzka. So yeah, those are the changes I'd recommend. Guerreiro is officially out. Kim Min-jae won't start tomorrow, in my opinion. And Goretzka I just don't really back to do well. Should I sell Kobo for Donnarumma? Only for free. I wouldn't do it for a hit. Nice rank, Dylan. Your best? No, my best was around 800, 700 a few years ago. I typically finish around this rank, not flexing, just being honest. Yeah, it's obviously a record I'd like to translate into FPL, if possible. Vitinha or Sancho? Vitinha. Who should I bring in as the 4th midfielder? I already have Zaire Emery, Kimmich, Bellingham. Yeah, probably Vitinha, if I had to pick one. Vitinha or Brandt or Sancho or Sane? I've had this question a lot. I'm going to go for Vitinha. Carvajal or Rudiger? Probably Rudiger. There's not much in it. Take your pick. Maybe flip a coin. I think both of them are pretty terrible in UCL Fantasy. Madrid aren't good at fouls, as we saw. Maybe Kane will score one. Well, he did score a penalty in the first leg. And he obviously scored a penalty in the first leg against Arsenal too. So, yeah, if Kane has a penalty, he's got a great chance of scoring. But otherwise, I think Madrid could keep him quiet. Hopefully not, because I want to see something a bit interesting. Luis says, Kunde eliminated. Who should I put in the game? I'd go for a PSG defender, personally. And also I'd sell Kim Min-jae, Luis, because I don't think he starts tomorrow. That's just the way I see it. If you disagree, that's fine. But I'd be very surprised if the South Koreans started tomorrow. Okay, so that's enough chit-chat, I think, for now. Zombie says Kimmich or Sane. I'd say Sane. Not much in it either. I'm going to now lock in my team and just get this over with because I don't want to make last-minute transfers. This poll, by the way, is so close. It literally just changed between Rudiger and Carvajal for the most votes, both of them at 29%. It goes to show you that there isn't a standout Madrid defender. So Valverde is 3rd in this poll with 22%. That's one of the most balanced polls I've ever seen. And I've had plenty on this channel, so yeah, it looks pretty good. I do think Nuno Mendes is the best defender to buy between him, Carvajal, Rudiger and Mendy for this match day only. But in terms of balance as well, that's something I'm thinking about. I've only got 3 Madrid players at the moment. I would have 6 from PSG, which is probably way too much, isn't it? But I would have 4 Dortmund players should they reach the final. Yeah, I think the way I want to play this actually is just focus on match day 12. And I think PSG have the best chance of a clean sheet. Nuno Mendes is good for ball recovery. So I think what I'm going to do is go for these transfers. Donnarumma, Nuno Mendes and Marquinhos. It might be crazy, but if it pays off, it would be absolutely massive in this match day. And looking ahead to the final, for example, I might need a goalkeeper regardless of what happens. If Madrid go through, Courtois could start in match day 13. PSG might be knocked out by that time. So I might need to buy a goalkeeper. Then for defenders, I'm guaranteed to have at least 2 defenders for the final at the very least. But if Madrid were to reach that stage, I'd probably go all in on them because I think they'd win the competition. As for the midfielders, yeah, once again, I think I'm guaranteed to have someone in the final, of course, but I'd be quite low on Madrid, and the same goes for the attacking line. So there's a lot to consider with this squad. I think for balance, it makes sense for me to go for a Madrid defender, but for matchday 12 and the possibilities of clean sheets and ball recoveries, I think going for Nuno Mendes and Marquinhos is probably the best play for me personally. So yeah, I'm going to think about this for a little longer, but very soon I'll be looking in my transfers, I believe. Don't copy if you are one of those people who copy every move that people do. I don't think that's the way to play the game. Obviously, do what you want, but I personally don't think it is entertaining or anything like that. Musiala for Valverde. Not much in it, but I do prefer the Uruguayan, that's for sure. Top 2 captaincy options for today and tomorrow. Mbappe and Gonzalo Ramos today, and tomorrow, Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. Miguel C says Carvajal, no goalkeeper, or Donnarumma, triple PSG defense. I'd go for Donnarumma and triple PSG defense. Is Kimmich a good choice? Yeah, he's decent, but away from home against Madrid, not expecting anything. Sell Rodrigo or Kane for Vinicius? I'd sell Kane. Should I replace Kimmich with a Dortmund midfielder? Once again, I don't see much in it, so you have to back your gut on that one. I'd probably do it, but I don't see a massive difference. Best Madrid defender? It's a question that honestly has no answer. There is not a standout. It's between Rudiger, Mendy, and Carvajal. I'd probably go for Rudiger. Hummels, Hakimi, Rudiger, De Ligt, Schlotterbeck. Should I change any one of them? In isolation, they're all good picks. With Rudiger, not great for ball recoveries or anything like that, but Madrid have the best chance of winning the competition. Hakimi is fine. Maybe sell De Ligt if I had to make one move and go to a Marquinhos or Nuno Mendes, possibly. Thank you, Paredes, for the super chat. Dortmund 5, PSG 5. Oh, sorry, you're talking about the number of players you have. So 5 Dortmund, PSG, 5 Real, 1 Bayern is the better split. It's obviously a difficult one. I think that is decent because I don't think Bayern Munich go through. They still have a chance, of course. It's 2-2 on aggregate, but yeah. If I had to kind of minimize one team, it would be Bayern Munich, but Harry Kane is still a great option in isolation. I also like a few midfielders like Sane, Musiala on his day. But yeah, I think the best kind of balance would be 4 kind of from each team, basically. You know, at least 4 from each team. So yeah, it's always difficult. You never know in Champions League, but yeah, Real Madrid are kind of inevitable. Luigi says, Dylan, ¿cuál es tu equipo favorito en la Premier League? Arsenal, es mi equipo local. Sí, soy fanático del Arsenal, así que eso es la respuesta. Capitanes, para hoy Mbappé y mañana Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. y Bellingham son los mejores. Schlotterbeck or Maatsen? Schlotterbeck, not much in it. Imagine the game ruined by ref, by a red card and an easy win for PSG. Well, look, a lot of games have been ruined by referees, not just this year, but throughout history. It's kind of, you know, it is what it is. The Colombian says, best midfielder? Maybe Vitinha, but there aren't many standouts. I think this is going to come down to very fine margins. It might even be who gets a penalty, and if Sabitzer's on the pitch and Fulkrug isn't there, he might be the one who steps up, but he's not necessarily a great pick for matchday 12. Sabitzer or Musiala? Sabitzer. Mazzari for which defender? Mazzari could play tomorrow, but I wouldn't recommend buying him. I wouldn't get him. Kane out, Gonzalo Ramos in. It's a nice differential, but I'm not sure if I'd sell Kane for him. The only strike I'm prepared to sell Kane for is Rodrigo, but that's a personal take. I mean, 4 PSG, 4 Dortmund, 5 Real, 1 Bayern. Yeah, that's fine. It's just, once again, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 Bayern. What I'm probably going to end up having is 2 Bayern in Sane and Kane. 5 possibly. 5 PSG players, which is probably a lot. I've got 4 Dortmund as well. I need more Madrid coverage. It might sound a bit contradictory, but I don't think Madrid have many great UCL Fantasy assets, but the ones they do have, like Vinicius and Bellingham, are great. Obviously, Lunin in goal, soon to be Courtois. He's also good, but defenders don't really look that strong. As for other midfielders, Valverde, Rodrigo up front, but yeah, it does pose some problems. I don't think there are many great midfielders left in the competition. Once again, best Madrid defender. I've been asked this to death. It's honestly, there's not a standout. I'm going to say Rudiger, but it could come down to fine margins, really. Predictions, I went for 2-0 PSG and 2-1 Madrid, but I might change it. Mbappe or Nacho, who's a better captain? Mbappe for me. Bellingham or Gnabry? Bellingham for Gnabry. Yeah, I prefer Bellingham. Musiala for Vitinha. I prefer Vitinha. I would possibly make the transfer. Going on my gut today, predicting a low-scoring draw or even a goalless draw. Captain Hummels that I didn't do the last match day. Yeah, and obviously the good thing is you have a captaincy option tomorrow if it doesn't go according to plan. Oddly enough, one of the few times my captaincy has blanked this season was in matchday 7 when we had 4 shots at it. So sometimes it can be a bit of a curse. You overthink things, or maybe you get a bit complacent, for example. Hakimi captain, go big or go bust. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of defender captaincies I'm seeing in the chat, but I don't think I'm going to go there. Kane or Mbappe next to Rodrigo and Vinicius? Mbappe. Best midfielder to go for? Bellingham, but apart from him, maybe a PSG one like Zaire Emery or Vitinha. Yeah, I'd say Vitinha, Georgie. Mazzari out, which defender in? Marquinhos, Nuno Mendes, Hakimi, one of those 3. Kane hat-trick incoming. See how musical destroys Madrid's bus? Yeah, nice reference there. I don't see Harry Kane scoring a brace, let alone a hat-trick. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Beraldo's fine. But I would rather go for Nuno Mendes, Hakimi, and for Marquinhos. The Colombian says, still have Edison, Kubarsi, and Witsel. I would have 19.3 million if I sell all of them. Who would you bring in for them? Yeah, I'm not going to do the maths kind of straight away. You can pretty much afford anybody you want, can't you? So, yeah, in goal, I'm not sure who you have, but one of Lunin or Donnarumma I'd buy. In the defense, I'd probably go for a PSG defender. Once again, one of those 3 I've mentioned all stream. And midfield, Valverde. I think you should be able to afford that. Donnarumma, Hakimi, Carvajal, or Kobel, Hakimi, Nuno Mendes. I prefer Kobel, Hakimi, Nuno Mendes. Sabitzer or Brandt? Sabitzer for me. Rodrigo out, Vinicius in for 3rd transfer, or do Oblak out, Kobel in, already have Lunin. I would go for the goalkeeper transfer. As much as I like Vinicius, I think Rodrigo could shine tomorrow. Hate on Kane because he touched Arsenal for years. I don't think anyone's hating on him. I just said I don't think he scores a brace or a hat-trick. No need to be sensitive, mate. Captain Vinicius. Captain Mbappe today, and you can switch it tomorrow. What about Toni Kroos? Good option, but I prefer Valverde, and of course Bellingham. Kvaratskhelia to Barcelona. He had a great season last year. Not much hype this time round because Napoli have been struggling, but yeah, I mean, he could be a good signing. He's a great technical player. He's one of those players who don't need many goals or assists to really shine, in my opinion. Very good to watch. Daniel Espinel says, Dylan, maravilloso trabajo. ¿Recomiendas algún cambio de Limitless de ayer? Gracias por el comentario. Voy a averiguar ahora. Matchday 12, Limitless. So... quizás pondría a Nuno Mendes por Madsen. Salvo eso, sí, creo que lo demás está bien. No cambiaría mucho. Sí, solo Nuno Mendes por Madsen. Y ya está. Right, let's go back to this. Smash the like button if you haven't already. We're still somehow not on 100 likes, so let's be... Well, actually, this YouTube is bugging out. We are on 100 likes now. Thank you. Let's get to 200. We're very close to that as well. And yeah, we're looking to end the stream on 200 at the very least. Nuno Mendes or Marquinhos. I'm going for Marquinhos. Not much in it. Jay says, hi bro, love your channel. Keep it up. FPL's been rubbish for me this season, but UCL Fantasy, I'm top 2k. That's great to hear. Yeah, FPL hasn't been great for me either. I still like the game, but I always prefer UCL Fantasy, and I always say this in my streams. Sancho or Sabitzer? Sancho. Joking aside, I think De Ligt is crucial for Bayern, and I think Gnabry and Sane will be the game changers. No, look, you could be right. I just think Madrid have that pedigree in the Champions League, which Bayern also have, but no one really compares to Los Merengues, and yeah, I think they're going to do well. Thank you. Oh my god, that's incredible. Very tempted to transfer out Kane and transfer in Gonzalo Ramos, although I was considering Rodrigo. What do you think? Feel like PSG might win 4-1. Yeah, I think from today, Ramos would be my favourite pick besides Mbappe. And I'd still go for Rodrigo, though. My personal take. They're both good options. Yeah, PSG 4-1, that would be a massive result. Not great for those with defenders, but they can still produce hauls with ball recoveries, so that looks pretty decent. Thank you, FVM. Massively appreciated. How many subs can I make during the game week? During the game week? Oh, you're talking about substitutions. Right, okay. Well, you can put you can basically put anyone on your bench into starting 11. Yes, you can do that. So you can put your goalkeeper in, everyone. So 4 changes is what you can do. But the caveat is they can't have played yet. And that's all covered in the How to Play guide. I kind of got caught out with that is because some people say substitutions for moves, for transfers, rather than just substitutions. Nuno Mendes or Marquinhos? Marquinhos. Is Sabitzer to Sancho a good transfer? I guess so. There's not much in it. A lot of these transfers that I'm being asked about, it's literally fine margins. Pick 3 from Vitinha, Valverde, Emery, Sancho, Sabitzer, Brandt. Emery, Vitinha, and Valverde. Sane or Emery? Emery for me. Do you think Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen duo is overrated? I think the Chelsea community hate on potential Osimhen transfer. For me, I just think it's due to Napoli being poor this season. Yeah, I agree. I think Napoli have just been poor. It is a good duo, to be fair, and like I mentioned earlier, Kvaratskhelia is a dribbler, great player to watch, a bit like Grealish, but he doesn't get many goals or assists, which people hype up to death. Kobo or Donnarumma? Kobo's been the best UCL Fantasy goalkeeper this season, but I'd probably go for Donnarumma. Why not Dembele or Vitinha in your squad? Because I've got fires to put out. I've got 2 eliminated players. Kim and Jay probably won't start tomorrow, so my efforts are focused on that. I've got Emery, no need for Vitinha. And is Dembele better than Kane, Vinicius or Mbappe? No, not for me. Good luck to you as well, Ankel. Sancho or Vitinha? I'd go for Vitinha. Valverde or Sane? Valverde, right now. Yeah, I'll be locking in my transfers. Hey Dylan, how was your day? I don't have any Dortmund midfielder. I've done the wild card. You don't really need it, but Sancho is my preference if you were to go for one. Valverde or Sabitzer? Valverde. Ishan says, use my last free transfer on ter Stegen out for Donnarumma or Kim Min-jae out for Marquinhos. Probably ter Stegen to Donnarumma, but Kim Min-jae is very unlikely to start tomorrow anyway. So, yeah, you could actually make a case for selling the defender instead. Yeah, Dyer probably will start tomorrow, yeah. You can use the Limitless in the final, but it's less relevant and important to use it in Matchday 13. You only need 11 starters. You don't need a bench. Vitinha or Emery? Vitinha based on current form. Courtois is not going to start. I've covered this a lot. It will be Lunin. It's confirmed by Ancelotti. Musiala, Emery or Valverde? Emery for me. All right, so yeah, Ezra, good team as well. Looks good. It's just Oblak and Kim Min-jae who are problems for you. The rest looks very solid. Fabian Ruiz as an ultra differential. Look, sometimes random players haul in UCL Fantasy and these fantasy games, so back your gut if you have a good feeling about him. I just prefer Emery and Vitinha. It will be Lunin. Once again, Lunin will start tomorrow. Ancelotti said it. Ancelotti said it. Ancelotti said it. What's your go-to beer? Probably Guinness. I mean, yeah. Guinness, Moretti, Heineken. I'll say Heineken for Champions League sponsorship reasons. I still back Dortmund just because I first backed Inter and they eliminated by Atletico and now Dortmund eliminated them. Maybe I'll be wrong again. Of course, you know, everyone, it's impossible to get every prediction right, isn't it? But it's a close game. I think this is the tougher game to call. Oddly enough, I think the other one, where it's 2-2, I think Madrid are almost certainly going to advance. Yeah, I'd play the Limitless now, in my opinion. Best wildcard team covered in the video. Must-have picks: Bellingham, Vinicius, Rodrigo, one of Zaire Emery or Vitinha, a PSG defender. I think those would be my top picks for the match day. When is the UCL? It's now. That's why we're doing the stream now. Literally in 7 minutes' time, the PSG Dortmund game starts. Hummels, Maatsen, Rudiger, Kanji, and Hernandez. Transfers for the obvious. 2 ideas. Yeah, I'd buy PSG defenders once again, especially in your case. I know you don't like them, but I think Marquinhos and Hakimi look pretty good. So yeah, let's now finalise my team for once. It's really just going to come down to that fine detail. Madrid defender or Nuno Mendes, and I think I'm going to go all in on PSG, which could be a disaster waiting to happen, but yeah, for matchday 12, I think it's the best thing to do, but it might cause some problems looking ahead to matchday 13. Because really what I'd want to do, assuming I'm right about Madrid going through to the final, I'd probably want the goalkeeper, either Courtois or Lunin in goal, probably 2 Madrid defenders at the very least, and just go all in on Real Madrid. So, yeah, it's just looking ahead to the next match day, which is kind of annoying. Because I think Nuno Mendes has a high ceiling this match day, but in match day 13, I'd be favouring Real Madrid to win that. So that is my only concern, really. But yeah, I think, you know what? I think I'm just going to stick with this. I'll give it a bit more thought. I'll be locking in my transfer soon. But Donnarumma in for Oblak. Marquinhos in for Ruben Dias. That, you know what? I might as well make those transfers now. Just in case. So I'm going to make those transfers now. And then afterwards, I'll lock in my final transfer as well. But yeah, I might as well get this show on the road, just in case. Let's see, by the way. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Marquinhos and Donnarumma. So yeah, Oblak and Ruben Dias. So no matter what, I'm pretty well set up for this match day. Let's bring in Donnarumma for Lunin. Right, I changed the setting on this browser and it's made it much slower, so I'm going to have to change that again. That is a bit jarring. But yeah, let's now put... Yeah, there's also one thing actually is the lack of balance. Maybe I have too many players on the Tuesday. That's something else to think about. But yeah, let's bring off Harry Kane. We can always sub him on tomorrow. Yeah, and now finally, with 5 minutes left, I'm going to use my final transfer on Kim Min-jae out. I think I'm going to keep Harry Kane. Yeah, I just don't like the Madrid defenders. I really don't. I don't think they keep a clean sheet tomorrow. But yeah, let's now go back to the transfer section. And you know what? I'm going to actually do this very quickly just because it might help out with just all of this. But be sure to smash the like button, subscribe for new, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, as you'll see very soon. Dylan RCM, FPL Dylan, you can find them either way. I'm going to show you my team very shortly. I'm just changing a setting on the browser because it's causing some issues on my software. So just give me a second whilst I fix this. But yeah, not much time left to lock in our teams. I've got one more transfer left to use. Let's see if I can find this setting and get this show on the road. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's going to relaunch it. That's a bit jarring, but might have to... Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to do it. There we go. Okay, so yeah, apologies for that. It's just I changed the setting, which unfortunately has caused more issues. I was trying to solve the transition problems that I've been experiencing recently, and in the end, it's just made it worse. But with less than 3 minutes left for the deadline, make your transfers, lock in your captains. Remember to captain someone from today, so either a PSG or Dortmund player. Any Tuesday players having your starting 11, all the usual stuff, very simple, but many people are still caught out to this day. And now finally I can show you my Champions League team again. So I think just for the sake of variety and balance, which is still a bit imbalanced arguably, but I'm going to go for a Madrid defender. And I think I'm going to go for Antonio Rudiger. But yeah, I mean, I really don't like these players. You know, Carvajal, 1 return all season. Antonio Rudiger, he's got 2 returns at least, but I really don't like Antonio Rudiger. I really don't as an option. I don't like Felamendi. I don't like Carvajal. Lunin is pretty much the one because of the saves, the penalty saves potential, and player of the match. He's been robbed of a few in Matchday 7 and Matchday 10. Felamendi's got a few returns this season as well, but yeah, I think, you know what, I'm just going to go for Rudiger and see what happens. I think I'm going to regret this decision no matter what I go for. Nuno Mendes for the short-term points, but for balance and also looking at to Matchday 13, I think going for Rudiger might be the play. Let's see what you lot are saying in the live chat. Smash the like button. Let's get the stream to the 200 likes. It'd be greatly appreciated. We've now literally got just over an hour left. Hopefully I haven't missed a super chat, by the way. Thank you to Paredes, Cruz, Federico, Valverde or Vitinha, and why. I'd go for Valverde. He's got a bit of attacking potential, but ball recoveries is what separates him from the rest. Yeah, I'd go for Federico Valverde. He's also the most nailed on in terms of him or Cruz. I like Vitinha, but I also think Madrid will go through to the final and win it. I don't have that same confidence with Vitinha and Paris Saint-Germain. So yeah, that is covered as well. Yeah, I've been asked this question to death. Lunin is going to play. It's covered. It's confirmed by Ancelotti, so no need to go into that again. But yeah, I think I'm going to go to Rudiger. Yeah, I think so. You know, I really think so. I'm looking at to Matchday 13 already and my provisional transfers, and I think it could cause some problems. And for Wednesday, I've only got Rudiger, Lunin, Sane, Bellingham, Kane, and Vinicius anyway. So yeah, I'm just going to go for Rudiger. There we go. Carvajal has more attacking potential. Maybe he's the one, but more yellow cards as well. Let's get Antonio Rudiger and hope he can finally get some ball recoveries. Not a big fan of this. I really am not. Carvajal, Rudiger. Let's see if I honestly, if they're that bad, these players, you know, I'm just going to go for Rudiger. I'm literally in 2 minds about these. But yeah, Kim and Jay out for Rudiger. The starting 11 is already sorted. Mbappe's my captain. So, yeah, not much more to talk about. We're locked in, literally just on the dot. So Donnarumma is in goal for me with Hummels, Maatsen, Hakimi and Marquinhos as the back 4. Brandt, Sabitzer, Zaire-Emery and Bellingham. And then we've got Mbappe, Vinicius up front. On the bench, Lunin, Sane, Rudiger and Kane. And if needed, I'll bring them on and they could maximise my points potential. So I've got 6 players for tomorrow and 9 for today, which isn't too bad. You usually want to have more players on the Tuesday than the Wednesday. But yeah, I had to get that Real Madrid player, I think, even though their defenders in isolation are pretty horrific. I think I'm going to regret not going for Nuno Mendes, though. But it is what it is. I've made my bed and we're locked in for UCL Fantasy for another match day. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. It's always massively appreciated. Thank you to those that support the channel consistently. It's always a pleasure. So I'll try to whiz through the stuff I haven't covered. Guinness says, Twister Parker, you do approve that. Thanks, Dylan. Just why I penciled in. Yeah. Brandt to Vitinha or Saliba to Rudiger, says Nuclear Atoms. I would have done Saliba to Rudiger. I always say that. I favour getting rid of eliminated players rather than going from one available one to another. Nacho will probably play tomorrow. I think so. It's not really locked in though. As I mentioned a few times, when I went through the predicted lineup, a lot of Madrid fans questioned whether Nacho will start. That was the only issue they had with it. 25 minutes, Camavinga red card and Bayern win. If that happens, then that is a great shout. I very much doubt it though. Sane to Sancho. I probably wouldn't have done it. Sabitzer or Emery. Zaire-Emery for me. UCL related question, but not fantasy. I'm also an Arsenal fan. Do you think we can also win the Champions League before 2026? It's possible, but there's no denying that Arsenal need to get over the line, and that's the most difficult thing, to win it for the first time. But I think they can. Of course they can. They're one of the best teams in the world right now. So yeah, it's just Arsenal's mentality and the way they manage the Champions League and Premier League running. That is what it comes down to. Gracias Esteban también. Muchas gracias por eso. Dale Dylan, que el tiempo se acaba. Well, don't worry, it's all done. I've gone for 2-2 Dortmund to go through. Years. Wait, what? Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Thank you, by the way, for letting me know. I'm not sure why it did this. Let me just... 1 second. Yeah, that was a glitch on OBS as well. Jesus Christ, I didn't even know that because I was too focused on it. It was, you could even see my settings there. Yeah, that is my team. So thank you for the person who brought it to my attention. Honestly, OBS and, you know, this software can always have some random issues. Never had that one before, but thank you, PsychSync. I actually had no idea that was the case, but yeah, that is my team. As I mentioned, you saw my team a few minutes before when I was making my transfers. My deliberation was between Rudiger and Carvajal, and possibly even going for Nuno Mendes. In the end, I went for Rudiger to have a bit more balance, but yeah, I'm not sure why Google did that. That is very strange to say the least. Very strange. But it's done. It is done, and it has sorted out the browser issues I was experiencing, but maybe a little bit too late. Thank you, Tremekid. Matic says, wish me luck. I have Ramos and Mbappe as forwards and Rodrigo for tomorrow. Yeah, looks good to me. A lot of people are kind of stacked on the Tuesday, aren't they? Which is quite weird to see. But I do think PSG and Dortmund have better assets individually than Real Madrid. Generally speaking, of course. I just want Madrid out, honestly. I think they're going to win it, but let's wait and see. Good luck as well, Wei saying. I put Nuno, yeah. He's the one I really think could do well on the defensive line, but I wanted balance for Matchday 13 as well. I want something different this year. I want something different every year. Premier League as well included, but we'll wait and see. I agree with you. We won't keep a clean sheet against Bayern. I don't know why you suddenly put so much faith. I'm not. Like I mentioned a few times, it's about balance. So if I had to pick one team to keep a clean sheet in this match day, it's Paris Saint-Germain. So that's why I wanted Nuno Mendes. But I'm also looking ahead to match day 13. And for that final, I'd back Madrid to keep a clean sheet and win the Champions League. And I'd want 2 or 3 Madrid defenders potentially by that stage. So if I went for Nuno Mendes, Marquinhos, sorry, that was the wrong team. Yeah, Nuno Mendes, Marquinhos, and Hakimi, that would cause some problems later down the road as well. I'd have to bench one of them regardless, most likely anyway. But yeah, I just wanted balance because I already have so many players from today, 9, you know, from Dortmund and PSG. That is a lot. So I'm quite happy with what I've gone for in the end, although I think Nuno Mendes does outscore Rudiger. I've got Schlotterbeck, Hummels, Maatsen, Kobel, Schlotterbeck captain. I mean, what can really go wrong? Switch from Hummels last minute. Yeah, I mean, what could go wrong? Pretty much anything in these fantasy games. Gonna join your league, just realized I haven't. Yeah, we've got actually a lot of members, a few thousand, and it's one of the most popular in the world. Don't you think Inter's really good this season? I backed them and getting surprise after surprise. That's why I still back this Inter side, Dortmund now. Well, Inter are a good team, but they kind of fumbled it in the Champions League, and it can happen. Away from home against Atletico is tough, and they lost on penalties, really. It comes down to fine margins, but they are one of the best teams in the world. And they were unlucky not to win the final last season, but they wasted their chances. 2-1 Madrid. Yeah, by the way, before I go to my predictions again, a shout out to those in the UCL Fantasy League. We've got a few United fans in the top 10, so that's good. A lot of United fans, by the way. Sir Bruno Fernandes, Manchester United, Ronaldo the GOAT, and the team name is Red Devils FC. Yeah, it's just full of United fans in the top 10 of my league. So yeah, good to see some variety there. If we now look at my predictor, I went for 2-0 PSG and 2-1 Real Madrid. I put PSG first to score and yeah, and Mbappe to be player of the match. Let's see how that goes. My booster is on Madrid Bayern, which I got spot on last week. I'm hoping for a repeat this time round, and that will be quite difficult to achieve, of course. I was ranked 2k and forgot to set team in the first semi-final. Dropped out to 9k. Yeah, I feel for you, mate. It can happen, but it's still a great rank. It really is. I made transfers who I thought would get the most points. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the way we want to play it. But when you overthink it sometimes and look ahead to the future like I did, you kind of make a sacrifice. But maybe a Rudiger bullet header will ease the pain. Hopefully Royce retires with a Champions League. Hopefully, but yeah, these fairy tales don't really go according to plan, do they? We already have Lunin to cover Madrid defence. Yeah, I know that, but once again, it comes down to Matchday 13 and my defence. I want to go for 2 free Madrid defenders by that stage. Having Rudiger in place already solves an issue later down the line. Do you think Ten Hag getting sacked soon? Not this season, but probably next season as well. That's not your predictor, Dylan. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening to OBS right now. Ever since I relaunched this, it's been an absolute disaster. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I think it's whenever I change the tab. Let's see. Oh, that is very weird. Let's see if it's the case here as well. Ah, right. I think I see what's happened there. All right, so every scene has basically changed with the browser. Yeah, that is very strange. Gonna look into that. I've never experienced that issue before, but thank you to those that have pointed it out. But yeah, the Champions League, I think that was already shown on screen properly. A lot of United fans in the top 10, as I mentioned. And then if we go to the predictor, once again, yeah, 2-0 PSG I went for. PSG first team to score, Mbappe player of the match. And for tomorrow, 2-1 Madrid, but I'll probably change it. Madrid to score first, and Rodrigo, player of the match. And I've put the booster on that prediction as well. Thank you, Nuclear Ams. I'll see you later. At the moment, Vitinha has more points, goals, and ball recoveries than Valverde. Because once again, looking into Matchday 13, I just think Valverde has a big moment in him, either a goal or assist in the semi-final or final. I think Madrid have a better chance of reaching the final, which is the main reason why I went for it. But yeah, once again, whether you say Vitinha, Valverde, most midfielders are pretty mediocre, if we're being honest, at this stage of the competition. It'd be beautiful if Royce could leave BVB with a UCL title. It would be, but yeah, I'd very much doubt it. Question for FPL, keep Saka and get Gvardiol and Pedro -4, or KDB and Pedro -4. And Pedro, is that keep Saka and get Gvardiol and Pedro? Is that Pedro Porro or Joao Pedro? That's what I'm wondering, but I think I'd rather keep Saka and get Gvardiol, because I'd prefer Saka for the last match day against Everton at home in Game Week 38. But we'll talk about FPL in the Saturday deadline stream as well. Thank you very much to those that tune in today. Apologies for the last issues I had. I tried to sort out the browser problems, and it caused a few kerfuffles at the end. But be sure to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new if you haven't already. Let's get this to 200 likes, and let's keep on pushing towards new goals. As always, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and check all the other links like the Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, Draft Hound, Spotify, Amazon Music, all of that. And we'll go for the last few questions. I have 3 hits, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, fair enough. In that case, I'll go to KDB. Just a Parky says, thoughts Dylan, Ben White or Dunk for Gusto and Jackson for Manice. I would probably go for Ben White. And yeah, Jackson for Manice looks good. Someone for Game Week 38, no hits, or a second Spurs defender with Pedro. 2 save Arsenal spot, as I've Gabriel. Forward for Manice, and then in 38 Havertz. I'd go for the first option and go for Ben White. Who do you think will get to the EPL through the Championship playoffs? It's always difficult to predict, right? I guess I'll go for Leeds, but they have fumbled it recently. Differential captain for FPL, I'd say Foden or De Bruyne again, but we all know how that turned out last week. Premier League and Game Week 38 would be an active title race or wrapped. What do you think? Well, there are 2 games that really determine that. Manchester United against Arsenal and Spurs versus Man City. If Arsenal drop points in any game remaining, of course they're not going to win it. They need to win both matches. Yeah, I'd like to think it goes to Game Week 38, but Man United is a tough place to go despite their poor form. Thank you, Twister Parky. Thank you to everyone else. Hopefully we get some exciting football in the Premier League and Champions League to round off another great season. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and UCL Fantasy content, and I'll keep you updated about Euro 2024 fantasy football as well. If it's possible, I'll be there doing videos and streams just like last time. Take care, enjoy the football, and I'll see you next time.